Chapter 240. Air Restricting Area. This should be the dark forest, right? 3 days later, Chen Hao was forced to land on a mountain. He stared at the scene in front of him and said in his mind. Behind him, there were mountains, green trees, and bright sunlight. It was full of vitality. However, after crossing the mountain in front of him, there were layers of fog, revealing a gloomy and dark aura. Yes. Master, the dark forest is 100,000 miles wide and nearly 1,000,000 miles long. It is the most suitable place for practitioners of the Gold Core realm to gain experience. There are many spiritual herbs with special effects, which are very valuable. Many rogue cultivators and sect disciples come here to gain experience. When I reached the peak of the Gold Core realm, I stayed here for 3 years. I got the concealment skill, an upper-class Earth rank unique skill, from a disciple of a 7th grade sect. Moreover, there are countless demonic beasts of the early Gold Core realm here. There are also many middle Gold Core realm demonic beasts, and few late Gold Core realm demonic beasts. Only the core area is suitable for you to gain experience with your battle strength, as long as you don't enter the core area, Idota said respectfully. In the end, Chen Hao did not destroy his soul. This guy had rich experience in Jianghu. He should be of great help to Chen Hao, who was about to enter the cultivation world. Well, I will gain experience here for 2 months first. As he spoke, Chen Hao could already see several streaks of light entering the dark forest from a distance. Judging from their aura, they should be at the middle Gold Core realm. Chen Hao's body shook and he entered the dark forest. At first glance, there was gray fog everywhere. The air was filled with the strong aura of demonic beasts, which made Chen Hao feel a sense of oppression from the depths of his soul. The range of his perception was greatly restricted. It was less than 1/3 of the outside world. Just as Idota said. Chen Hao had only gone more than 10 miles when he encountered dozens of demonic beasts of the early Gold Core realm. These demonic beasts were very smart. They sensed Chen Hao's aura and quickly avoided him. They did not even dare to approach him. Even so, Chen Hao took the initiative to attack and killed several demonic beasts. He felt no threat at all. Roar! After traveling 1,000 li, a peak late-stage golden core demonic beast exuding a terrifying aura blocked Chen Hao's path. 3-headed golden crown python. Finally, I've met a powerful one. Chen Hao stopped abruptly as excitement flashed in his eyes. Master, the 3-headed golden crown python is very fast and can use its demonic energy to fly. Its ultimate move is the poison origin tongue of the 3-headed golden crown python, which is as fast as lightning. Once one is touched by its tongue, one will be poisoned. He is really bold. Come closer. Above the dark clouds, dozens of miles away, a figure's gaze seemed to penetrate the clouds and locked onto Chen Hao. When Chen Hao encountered the 3-headed golden crown python, he muttered to himself. After he finished speaking, he moved closer as fast as lightning, ready to attack at any time. This figure was the elder of imparting arts who had secretly followed him. Sword intent? This boy has also comprehended sword intent? When he saw Chen Hao break through the defense of the 3-headed golden crown python with his second sword, the elder of imparting arts was a little surprised. But when he saw that Chen Hao did not retreat in the face of the angry 3-headed golden crown python, he was immediately frightened. Without hesitation, his figure flashed and shot out as fast as lightning. Die for me! A huge hand suddenly appeared, carrying with it the power of heaven. In Chen Hao's surprise, it directly grabbed the 3 heads of the 3-headed golden crown python and dragged it into the air. Bang bang bang! With 3 explosions, flesh and blood splattered. Instant kill. Great Elder? Chen Hao frowned slightly. Looking at the figure that appeared in the air, he was very unhappy. His rising battle intent was forcibly cut off. Who would be happy? Boy, are you crazy? Did you not read the information that the sect gave you? This is a 3-headed golden crown python. Not to mention that you are only in the middle stage of the Aurus Core realm. Even a peak late-stage Aurus Core realm cultivator would have to retreat. Nascent soul realm cultivators can only fight from a distance. You want to fight in close combat? Are you not courting death? That venom can instantly destroy your physical body. The elder of imparting skills stared at Chen Hao and said, "With your experience, it's best that you don't train alone. Train with the experts in the sect for a period of time and increase your knowledge. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died." "Great elder, have you been following me?" Chen Hao's expression was a little strange. He avoided the elder of imparting arts' words and asked in return, "You are the rare genius of the Zhaixing sect. You have no experience, and with Fan Feng as your enemy, how could the sect leader let you go out alone? I should have known, damn it." Hearing the great elder's words, Chen Hao cursed gloomily in his heart. After a moment of silence, he said, "Thank you for your concern, sect leader and great elder, but if you do this, my training will be meaningless. Great elder, please go back." The great elder frowned slightly. Of course, he knew what Chen Hao was thinking. This time, he had indeed acted too early. Moreover, Chen Hao obviously did not understand the power of the three-colored golden crown python. Anyone would be displeased. But there was no other way. The three-headed golden crown python's venom was too strong. If Chen Hao were to fight in close combat, even he would not be able to save Chen Hao in time. The situation this time is special. The three-colored golden crown python must not be fought in close combat. If even the slightest touch of its venom, even I would not be able to save you. Otherwise, I would not have interrupted you. If I could avoid interfering, I would try my best not to interfere. Be careful. Take the three-headed golden crown python's inner core and scales. After the great elder finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao gloomily cut off the inner core and the huge snake's skin and put them into his storage space. I have to shake him off. He's simply treating me like a bird. Since I'm fighting in close combat, I'll definitely be able to block the poison. Damn it. Chen Hao's valiant and spirited fighting spirit seemed to have been doused with a basin of cold water. He no longer had the mood to train as he spoke in his mind. It won't be easy to shake him off. He is the elder of the Zhaixing sect who has reached the peak of the incarnation realm. Unless you can cultivate my concealment technique to the peak, it won't be easy to shake him off. Actually, you don't have to worry too much. It's a good thing that he's here. This time, the reason he acted was because the three-headed golden crown python's venom was too strong. If I wanted to protect you, I would have done the same. Good thing my ass. With this soul shackle, how can it be called training? Shaking him off is easy. Chen Hao's face flashed with a hint of arrogance. His figure immediately turned into a stream of light and quickly fled towards the dark forest. At the same time, a mysterious rune suddenly rose from the storage space of the Xianhuang bracelet and covered the sect token. Everything that could be sensed had been sealed. The first elder was not old Xiao. Chen Hao could rely on his powerful soul and the ability to restrain his aura to avoid him. However, the current Chen Hao was also not the Chen Hao of the past. With the ability to restrain his aura, he believed that he could easily shake off the first elder. Who? His figure rapidly ran forward for 1,000 miles. Chen Hao did not hide his strength and directly displayed his terrifying strength. When he felt that the first elder should be a little more relaxed about him, he entered a cave and sat cross-legged to cultivate. Chen Hao was very clear that the first elder was sensing his aura and not looking at him. After condensing his aura and energy into a piece and using a simple energy sealing formation to prevent the energy from dissipating and his aura from dissipating, Chen Hao retracted all of his aura and merged with the heaven and earth. Like a gust of wind, he escaped from the cave. A cicada shedding its carapace. This spirit array should be able to last for 3 days. When Grand Elder discovers it, Chen Hao's mouth carried a wisp of a complacent smile as he quietly headed in another direction, quickly and silently. First update. Chapter 241. Several hours later, Chen Hao, who did not carry any aura, passed through the dark forest like a gust of wind and avoided countless demon beasts at the peak of the late Golden Core stage. Chen Hao was sure that no matter how powerful the Grand Elder was, he could not lock onto his aura at a distance of nearly 10,000 miles. In front of him was an endless desert. There was no sign of life, and the sun was like fire. Without the restriction of the air restriction domain, Chen Hao rose into the air and increased his speed to the limit. Half a day later, Chen Hao flew at full speed for more than 10,000 miles and finally passed through the desert. Tall mountains and flowing water appeared in front of him, full of green and vitality. This should be the Swallow Dang mountain range. If I head southeast for another 10,000 miles, I'll reach the first city, Oasis City. I'll use Oasis City's teleportation formation to leave this place first. Chen Hao compared the terrain of the mountain range in front of him with the map in his mind. After determining his location, he once again increased his speed to the limit. Chen Hao, who was flying at high speed, suddenly stopped and frowned. His powerful soul perception caught several auras that instantly surrounded him and approached him at lightning speed. Suddenly, a hideous laugh sounded. The figures no longer hid their auras and surrounded Chen Hao like a giant bird spreading its wings. "Kid, your senses are very sharp. Leave everything behind and we'll let you live." The leader stared at Chen Hao as if he was looking at a fat sheep. His aura was obviously at the late golden core stage. The other 5 had also reached the peak of the middle golden core stage. "Want to rob me?" Chen Hao's expression was calm and said without the slightest fear. The 6 people immediately laughed. The leader said, "Cut the crap. Hand it over yourself, or do you want us to do it? We've waited for 3 days and finally found one. Although he's a little thin, it's better than nothing." Boss, this kid has reached the middle golden core stage at such a young age. He must be a genius disciple of the sect. Don't talk nonsense with him. Just kill him." At this moment, another person said. These 6 people were rogue cultivators who roamed the world of cultivation and specialized in killing and robbing. The cultivators who were training in the dark forest would usually pass by this area and go to Oasis City to rest after their training. If they encountered a powerful team, they would naturally avoid them. However, they would not let off a lone wolf like Chen Hao. This was especially true for someone like Chen Hao, whose cultivation base was low. Moreover, it was obvious that he did not have any experience. He was definitely a fat lamb waiting to be slaughtered. With experience, who would dare to recklessly fly in the air in such a remote place? Leave your storage rings behind, break your own hands, and I'll spare your lives. Cut the crap. Chen Hao suddenly said coldly. "What? This kid is crazy. A beam of sword light appeared without warning. The expert at the peak of the middle stage gold core stage had no chance to resist at all. A fist-sized hole appeared in his throat. Before he could even scream, he fell directly from the void. The other 5 people, including the leader of the late-stage golden core cultivators, all exclaimed. "Of death, of a man brothers of the world of the kill. Boom, boom. Wind, 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 heart-piercing blade. Fist-shattering mountains and rivers. Leg-conquering mountains and rivers." Frightened, the 5 people directly used their killing moves. They often did this kind of thing and had encountered many difficult opponents. Although they were frightened by the speed and strength of Chen Hao's sneak attack, Chen Hao was only in the middle of the golden core stage, and this was caused by underestimating the enemy. The leader of the golden core stage gathered all his strength in a punch. Coupled with the cooperation of the 4 brothers, he believed that he could definitely kill Chen Hao. But he did not expect that Chen Hao would slap out with his palm, and the 18 giant dragons instantly smashed the 5 people's joint attack. Danger. Having experienced countless battles, the 5 people instinctively felt a sense of danger that made their hair stand on end. Subconsciously, they activated their true essence and retreated quickly. But you can't even withstand a single blow from an advanced golden core stage cultivator. How can such trash rob us? The 5 people who were on the verge of death heard Chen Hao's indifferent and disdainful voice and immediately lost consciousness. "Master, you're too strong. With your combat power in the golden core stage, other than the genius disciples of the high-level sects, I'm afraid no one is your match. These guys are just ordinary itinerant cultivators. If you're at the peak of the middle of the golden core stage, they won't dare to stop you. Is that so? Then it seems that I'll have to use your concealment technique in the future to hide my cultivation level. I don't like to look for trouble, but I don't mind if others come looking for me to get rich. The more the better. Chen Hao released a stream of energy and stored the 6 people's storage rings and dropped weapons into the Xianhuang ring. He did not have time to count them and sped toward Oasis City. But this time, Chen Hao concealed his aura even as he flew. He had no choice. His main task now was to completely shake off the Great Elder. Oasis City, Jingyun City, Wanxiang City, Dragon Elephant City, Silver Snow City, Black Iron City. After Chen Hao paid the entrance fee and entered Oasis City, he did not hesitate to spend a huge amount of elixir pills to pass through the transportation arrays of the various large chambers of commerce. He passed through Dragon Elephant City, where the headquarters of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion were located, and arrived at Black Iron City, which was 1,000,000 miles away from Dragon Elephant City. Black Iron City was located in the middle of the Black Flame Empire, a super empire in the world of cultivation. The ruler of the Black Flame Empire had the strength of a 5th-grade sect and countless experts. If not for the fact that the empire's system and benefits were different from those of the sects, it would probably be even stronger than a 7th-grade sect. Please pay the entrance fee of 150 8th-grade elixir pills or 15 9th-grade elixir pills. When Chen Hao walked out of the transportation array, the Black Iron City guard at the entrance spoke to Chen Hao. So expensive. It's 15 times more expensive than Oasis City. Chen Hao thought to himself, but he still obediently paid 150 8th-grade elixir pills and walked out of the transportation array hall. The battle of the top 10 on the Dragon Transformation list will begin today. I heard that the 9th-grade sect's Origin School, Sky Sword Sect, Misty Palace, and Ling Tian Sect are all here to select disciples. Really? 4 of them? It's already good enough that there were 2 9th-grade sects in the past. Why are there so many this time? The Origin School and Sky Sword Sect were all decided at the last minute. Isn't it because of the emergence of so many super geniuses on the Dragon Transformation list this time? There are more than 10 people who have stepped into the beginning stage of the Golden Core stage. This has never happened before. Let's go and bet. It'll be too late if we're late. The Dragon Transformation list. Walking out of the transportation array hall, Chen Hao was surprised to see a dense crowd of people walking quickly and discussing at the same time. The transportation array Chen Hao took was the headquarters of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion in Black Iron City. What Chen Hao did not expect was that the Dragon Transformation list was also organized by the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Moreover, it was in the headquarters of Black Iron City. Chen Hao shook his head. The Dragon Transformation list was once his goal. However, at this moment he was dispirited. Firstly, he was no longer qualified to participate. Secondly, his ability had far surpassed the Dragon Transformation list. However, when he heard the name Ling Tian Sect, an inexplicable emotion still surged in Chen Hao's heart. A 9th-grade sect was a high and mighty existence. Yu, this is Black Iron City. The Dragon Transformation list this time is held in the headquarters of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Let's go, big brother. It's not the time to choose disciples yet. Yu wants to go to Black Iron City for a walk. Is that okay? Just as Chen Hao shrugged and was about to leave the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, a voice suddenly came from behind, causing Chen Hao to stop abruptly. It's not that I don't want you to go, but Father has ordered, big brother, I beg you. Yu is already at the peak of the Mastery Nascent Soul stage. You'll be fine. Yu will definitely come back before the end of the competition, okay? Other than our Ling Tian sect, Yu hasn't gone anywhere else. Both of their voices were very soft. Amidst the noisy discussion, nobody noticed them. However, only the girl's voice remained in Chen Hao's mind. Her heavenly voice did not change at all. Yu, don't make things difficult for me. When the Dragon Transformation list ends, I'll take you out to play. You can go anywhere you want. Let's go. Under the black veil, Xia Yu's clear and beautiful eyes revealed a trace of sadness. She could only follow the young man into the sky and fly directly to the training field where the Dragon Transformation list was held. Wow, isn't that Xian and Tian? The 4 great young masters are all here. Who's that girl? Could it be Xia Yu? Xia Yu. It's definitely Xia Yuyu. Although she's wearing a veil, her peerless charm. This is going to be lively. I'm afraid even the Origin School might not be able to compete with the Ling Tian sect this time. Yu's appearance and a smile. Who can resist her? Nobody dared to fly in the sky in the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Apart from the senior members of the sect, nobody dared to fly in the sky. Therefore, when Xian and Tian and Xia Yuyu flew in the sky, they instantly attracted the attention of countless people. It was only then that Chen Hao turned around to look at the figure he had not seen for more than 2 years. She was devastatingly beautiful. Although it was only her back view, it still made Chen Hao's heart sway. It had been more than 2 years. When Chen Hao gave up on the dragon transformation list, he had thought that he would take it one step at a time. He had thought that the figure that had once irresistible entered the depths of his heart would fade with time. However, at this moment, when he saw her again, Chen Hao was clear that she was still her. Her voice, her aura, and her figure still moved him in an instant without any reason or reason. Love at first sight, it was fated. Perhaps it was because of the surging emotions in his heart, or perhaps it was because he could not control his emotions, but Chen Hao could not help but release his aura. The beautiful figure that had already floated past the crowd in the air was suddenly startled. Under the gazes of thousands of people, she abruptly turned around and looked straight at Chen Hao. Oh no! The moment he saw Xia Yu turn around, Chen Hao was shocked. He quickly retracted his aura and blended into the crowd in a flash. You, what's wrong? Second update. Try to finish the third update before 12. Calm to vote. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 242. No, nothing. Xia Yuyu blankly looked at the unfamiliar faces, her heart beating faster. But to her disappointment, she didn't see any familiar figures. For more than 2 years, she had been cultivating and cultivating. Being confined, she was like a bird in a cage, without any freedom or joy. But in order to obtain freedom, she could only cultivate and improve herself. Stepping from the martial god realm to the peak of the late nascent soul realm in 2 years, what kind of concept was that? She had obtained supreme glory and the title of the #1 beauty in the Eastern continent in 1,000 years. She had obtained the meticulous care and nurturing of her family, but she couldn't feel happy. She had thought that after reaching the peak of the late nascent soul realm, she would obtain freedom, but she didn't expect that it would be this kind of freedom. Her big brother, who was at the incarnation realm, and the elders who had been hiding in the surroundings were like an invisible cage. And she was just a little bird in a moving cage. The cage was the one with freedom, not her. The aura she had sensed had come too quickly and left too quickly. It had been so quick that Xia Yuyu thought it was an illusion. I was thinking too much. He had already given up on the dragon transformation list in the star-picking sect. How could he appear here? Xia Yuyu turned her head in disappointment and continued to follow her big brother. She wasn't like Chen Hao, who had his own freedom. She didn't have any distracting thoughts in her environment. Other than the sect tournament, she didn't have any opportunities to come into contact with the outside world. She could only see her parents, grandfather, and a few other relatives who had raised her like a treasure. Therefore, unlike Chen Hao, she wouldn't let the 1.5 years of cultivation remain silent in her heart. Secretly staring at Xia Yuyu, who had turned around and left at a loss, the corner of Chen Hao's mouth revealed a bitter smile. Especially after hearing the discussions of the people around him, his heart surged. You're a heavenly daughter, and I'm just a nameless mid-golden core realm kid. I can't see you for the time being, and I'm not worthy of you. I don't want my dignity to be trampled on again. Wait for me to be strong enough. Chen Hao's eyes shone with the resplendent light as he hardened his heart. The scene of Xia Yuyu's father and grandfather trampling on his dignity made him clench his fists and clench his teeth. It's him. When Chen Hao resolutely walked out of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man who was guarding the entrance saw Chen Hao walking against the flow of people. His eyes flashed with an imperceptible excitement. Then he quietly activated the communication talisman in his hand. Black Iron City? This kid seems to be running away from someone. He first appeared in Oasis City, then Scenic Cloud City, then Myriad Phenomenon City, Dragon Elephant City, and Silver's Now City. He did not stop at all. This time, he finally exited the teleportation array in Black Iron City. Inform Fan Fong immediately. Yes. The leader of the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce, who was in charge of this mission, gave the order. The Myriad Links Trading Company had countless masters and spies all over the eastern continent. As long as anyone could pay the right price, they could obtain information that satisfied their customers. Even though it was only a merchant association, in the entire eastern continent, even the Yuan School, the leader of the 9th rank sects, did not dare to rashly offend it. Not only were they well informed, but there was also a more important reason. The president of the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce was a top expert with a mysterious identity. Walking on the wide street, Chen Hao, who originally wanted to stroll around Black Iron City, lost all interest and quickly headed out of the city. 30,000 miles south of Black Iron City, the Black Wind Ancient Cave was Chen Hao's destination. According to Ito Ta, the third floor of the Black Wind Ancient Cave was one of the most suitable places for Golden Elixir Realm practitioners to train. The first and second floors were where Khanate Realm disciples trained. The Black Wind Ancient Cave contained precious black iron or veins and countless demonic beasts that could not be killed. No one knew how many floors there were, how deep and how big the cave was. It was easy to get lost in the crisscrossing and winding natural ancient cave. It had been nearly 1,000 years since its discovery. In the beginning, many practitioners never came out after entering, and it was listed as a dangerous place to train. More than 100 years ago, the Heavenly Armament Pavilion condensed a huge teleportation array at the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave and sold teleportation talismans. Only then did the Black Wind Ancient Cave become a treasured place for countless sect disciples and independent practitioners to train. Whoosh! After exiting the south gate of Black Iron City, Chen Hao immediately flew into the air and turned into a stream of light. Perhaps it was because the dragon transformation list attracted most practitioners, but Chen Hao did not meet any practitioners along the way. It was only when he neared the Black Wind Ancient Cave that he saw a few practitioners, either alone or in groups of 3 to 5. Target has arrived at the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Target has entered the Black Wind Ancient Cave, did not purchase a teleportation talisman. Chen Hao did not know that when he walked out of Black Iron City, a bird-like thing without any energy aura was constantly 100 miles away, locking onto Chen Hao's whereabouts. The middle-aged man who discovered Chen Hao in Black Iron City was transmitting the news in real time. This was the most powerful tracking treasure of the Myriad Links trading firm, the Puppet Bird. Even an Primordial Soul Realm expert would not be able to detect it, let alone Chen Hao. The small puppet bird contained powerful concealment and communication arrays. It relied on energy crystals to fly, and its maximum speed was comparable to a peak late-stage Primordial Soul Realm expert. Furthermore, it did not have any life aura. What? Fan Fong, who was leading more than 10 mid-stage and late-stage Golden Elixir experts, was rushing towards Black Iron City through the city's teleportation array. He frowned when he received the news. Is this kid crazy? How dare he not go through the Heavenly Armament Pavilion's teleportation array? Damn it. Fan Fong cursed angrily. Even he did not dare to enter the Black Wind Ancient Cave without going through the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Without a teleportation talisman, it was basically impossible to get out once one entered. Otherwise, it would not have been designated as a dangerous training ground. Should we continue to follow? Our puppet bird may not be able to get out of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. If you want to chase, you'll need to pay an additional 30 million level 8 elixirs. 30 million? After receiving the news, Fan Fong's face turned green. Where would he get 30 million elixirs from? He could only rely on himself. An hour later, Fan Fong and the 13 Sword Faction disciples arrived at the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. 14 teleportation talismans and 14 positioning discs, and 140 pairs of communication talismans, Fan Fong said directly after arriving at the Heavenly Armament Pavilion's teleportation array. 14 teleportation talismans, 4 million level 8 elixirs, 14 positioning discs, 140,000 level 8 elixirs, 140 pairs of communication talismans, 140,000 level 8 elixirs, a total of 68 million level 8 elixirs. Fan Fong quickly paid for the elixirs. Even he felt the pinch. Originally, they only needed to wait at the teleportation array until Chen Hao came out. But now, Fan Fong had no choice but to go in. Because Chen Hao did not buy any teleportation talismans, it meant that he could stay in there for years, decades, or even never come out. He might even die in there. This was not what he wanted. Because Chen Hao's inner demon had not been removed, he, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, did not dare to trigger the divine punishment. He had already been delayed for 2 years. How could he dare to delay any longer? After buying the items, Fan Fong distributed the teleportation talismans, positioning discs, and communication talismans to the 13 disciples and went straight to the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Did you see this kid? He came in an hour ago. After Fan Fong finished speaking, he appeared in front of the young disciples who had gathered not far away. He took out a portrait of Chen Hao and asked. This was the first level of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Usually, many cultivators would gather here after entering, or wait for someone. I saw him, he went that way. The young disciples felt the powerful aura and pressure from Fan Fong and did not dare to lie. One of them said, "Let's go." At Fan Fong's command, he led the 13 men and chased after them at lightning speed. The disciples of the Sword Faction, what a terrifying aura. Could it be the super genius of the Sword Faction, Fan Fong? I feel that his aura is even more terrifying than senior brother Chen Hua's. It is Fan Fong. I saw him 2 years ago during the recruitment of disciples for the 100 Empire ranking. It is said that even disciples in the early nascent soul stage are no match for him. That kid just now must be Chen Hao, the one who fought to a draw with the champion of the previous 100 Empire rankings. How awesome, he has actually advanced to the intermediate golden core stage. When I saw him just now, I was still wondering how there could be someone who looked so similar. Since Fan Fong has chased after him, he must be Chen Hao. Ah? Senior brother Li, they have a grudge? Those who went to the 100 Empire ranking knew. This Chen Hao killed Fan Fong's most beloved little sister in the Divine Battle Ruins. You might not know this, but at that time, several sects were trying to get Chen Hao to join them, and they even made special offers to Fan Fong. Oh, that Chen Hao is really not simple. He has advanced to the intermediate golden core stage so quickly. Unfortunately, he is doomed this time. That may not be true. This Fan Fong is a bit of an idiot. If I were him, I would wait at the teleportation array in the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. The Dark Wind Cave is crisscrossing. Looking for someone is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Although it is only an hour, there are so many forks. If Chen Hao is lucky, it will not be easy to catch up. The demonic beasts on the first level could not stop them at all. But after more than 10 minutes, 5 tunnels appeared in front of them. Split up and chase. You will split into 4 groups. Once you find him, send me a message immediately. Intermediate and peak golden core stage, do not attack. Just tail him. That kid is already at the intermediate golden core stage. His combat power may be very high. Advanced golden core stage, catch him. I will take care of him. When you meet a fork, split up if you can. When you meet a cultivator, ask him. But don't waste too much time. His target should be the 3rd level. If you can't catch up in an hour, find the entrance to the 2nd level. Don't waste time on the 2nd level. Go straight to the 3rd level. Chen Hao's body was like a gust of wind, shuttling through the cave quickly. Itoda was indeed a veteran who made a living by killing and robbing people. This Dark Wind Ancient Cave was thousands of miles wide. It was extremely complicated and crisscrossing. He was familiar with it. When he was hunted down, he hid in the Dark Wind Ancient Cave for 10 whole years. This saved Chen Hao 100,000 level 8 spiritual pills. Otherwise, Chen Hao would have to buy a teleportation talisman. 3rd update. Make up for yesterday's overdue stamp. I am really sorry. There are so many things to do these days, and I can't escape from them. Chapter 243. Ito-ta, you are wrong 3 times, is there a problem with your memory? 3 hours later, with Chen Hao's speed, in the rugged and complex first floor of the Black Wind ancient cave, he ran more than 30,000 miles. According to the route of the second floor, he walked 3 times, but he did not find the entrance, which made Chen Hao lose his patience. It seems that something is wrong. My memory is correct. Obviously the 3 places I pointed have the entrance to the second floor. How can there be no entrance? Could it be that the Black Wind ancient cave has changed in these years? It should be like this. This Black Wind ancient cave is also an ancient ruin. So far no one has been able to explore it completely. Let's go back and ask other cultivators. As for going out, don't worry, just casually kill 2 people. Ito-ta said awkwardly. Itoda was here when he was at the peak of the late Jedon realm. It was decades ago. Even he did not expect such a situation to happen. With his cultivation at the peak of the late Yuaning realm, his memory should not be confused. In the future, I am not a devil cultivator. I will kill those who should be killed, but killing innocent people is not allowed. Chen Hao said. Just now, along the way, he saw a lot of Xiantian disciples, who were basically in groups of 5 or 6, and some of the groups regarded by peak late gold core stage experts. According to Ito-ta, these disciples were basically the genius disciples of the sect. There were very few rogue cultivators. Because the transmission talisman of Heavenly Armament Pavilion was too expensive, 100,000 8th level spirit pills, ordinary rogue cultivators were reluctant to pay. Of course, there were also people like Chen Hao who did not buy the transmission talisman. However, these people were basically the same as Itoda. They came in with the mentality of killing people and robbing them. If they wanted to go out, they could kill a few people and get the transmission talisman. The premise was that they could not get lost in the Black Wind ancient cave. Even if they had the transmission talisman, they would not dare to go too deep. From the Black Wind ancient cave to Heavenly Armament Pavilion, the distance in a straight line could not exceed 100,000 miles, otherwise, the transmission talisman would fail. Since Heavenly Armament Pavilion spent a lot of money to build a giant transmission array at the entrance of the Black Wind ancient cave, for more than 100 years, there were still countless cultivators who entered but did not come out. However, this ancient Dark Wind cave is indeed like a maze. If we want to leave without a teleportation talisman, I'm afraid that we won't be able to leave. Chen Hao said with a frown. Although he had a photographic memory, he didn't pay attention to the number of forks when he came in because of Itoda. These forked paths were crisscrossed, densely packed, and extremely complicated. Most importantly, the entrance of every single forked path was extremely similar. That's right. Let's go back and ask around. Let's go to the 3rd floor first. With master strength, I'm afraid no one would dare to find trouble with you on the 1st and 2nd floors. As for the 3rd floor, fighting over it is too common. Moreover, the 3rd floor has the most cultivators. Many people stay there for a year or so, or even several years. Oh? Why is it taking so long? Chen Hao asked in surprise. Firstly, the teleportation talisman is too expensive. It's not easy to come in. Secondly, the 3rd level was indeed a treasured cultivation ground for Golden Core Realm cultivators. The number of demon beasts was enormous, and the various ranks were divided according to a pattern. Thirdly, there were many caves and palaces on the 3rd floor. Demon beasts couldn't enter, so cultivators could cultivate in peace. This is very important. Another point is that there are more precious black iron ores on the 3rd floor. If you're lucky, you can obtain more precious black iron crystals, or even the priceless black iron quintessence. This is one of the materials to refine spiritual weapons, or even earth-level and heaven-level spiritual treasures. In addition to these, in the past 1,000 years, many talented cultivators had fallen in there. Naturally, their belongings were also left behind. In that case, it's indeed a good place. Unfortunately, I only have 2 months. Chen Hao said, besides the 1st to 3rd floors, are there any more advanced places? I'm not sure. Logically speaking, there should be. After all, this ancient Dark Wind cave is very mysterious and huge. It's definitely not a low-level relic. However, until now, no one has explored the entrance to the 4th floor. The main reason is that the terrain is too complicated. Once you get lost, you might die in there. While they were talking, Chenhao avoided some low-level demon beasts and came out of the cave at an amazing speed. After running for more than 10 minutes, he finally met a cultivator at the peak of the middle stage Golden Elixir realm. However, the cultivator was running quickly towards a fork in the road and didn't sense Chenhao's presence at all. The peak of the middle stage Golden Elixir realm. He should be going to the 3rd floor. Itota's soul perception was stronger than Chenhao's when Chenhao didn't suppress it. When he sensed that the cultivator was alone and was avoiding low-level demon beasts, Itota said, "Ask him, or follow him." "Follow him." Chenhao frowned slightly after seeing the style and color of the cultivator's Taoist robe. Although he only saw the back and didn't see the insignia on the cultivator's chest, Chenhao was sure that the cultivator was a disciple of the sword faction. However, Chenhao didn't think that it had anything to do with him. Even if Fan Fong was powerful, he couldn't have caught up so quickly. Not to mention Fan Fong, even the elder of imparting skills had been shaken off. How could Fan Fong catch up with him? Master, something's wrong. This disciple is from the sword faction. Itota said immediately. Itota already knew about Chenhao and Fan Fong when the elder of imparting skills from the star-picking sect came to protect him. What's the big deal? It's just the sword faction, not Fan Fong. Besides, even if it's Fan Fong, what's there to be afraid of? Chenhao said casually. Fan Fong was still in the Golden Elixir realm. Although he was half a step away from the nascent soul realm, he was still a super genius and his combat strength must be very high. However, as long as he wasn't in the nascent soul realm, Chenhao had nothing to be afraid of. You'd better be careful. Master, I know that your combat strength is very high, but Fan Fong is indeed a rare genius. Although he's only a 6th grade faction, he can be famous in the world of cultivation not only because of his fast progress, but also because of his terrifying combat strength. He's half a step away from the nascent soul realm and can reach the nascent soul realm at any time. Boom! 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 Chenhao followed the disciples silently and moved forward quickly. At this moment, they passed through a huge cave that was hundreds of feet wide and entered a huge space with a radius of thousands of feet. 6 or 7 disciples in the nascent soul realm were crazily hunting demonic beasts. Next to them was a middle-aged man at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm. As for Chenhao, when he saw a few more passageways appear in the huge space, he stopped and quickly walked towards the disciples. "Get out of my way!" The disciple of the sword faction shouted and swung his sword to kill a large number of demonic beasts. He came near them like lightning and said with a trace of arrogance, "Don't be afraid. I'm an inner disciple of the sword faction. I just want to ask you something. Have you seen this person before?" To Chenhao's surprise, the disciple of the sword faction took out a portrait and asked under the watchful eyes of the other expert. "No, we haven't. I'm sorry." The middle-aged man at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm relaxed slightly. When the disciple of the sword faction came over, he recognized him as a disciple of the sword faction. And the strength he showed when killing the demonic beasts just now was not something he could compete with. Although he was in the same realm as the disciple. Damn it! The disciple of the Flying Sword School cursed. His body flashed, and he directly rushed into a cave, quickly leaving. He's really looking for me. Chenhao's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness and ridicule as he said in his mind. It must be the Wantong Chamber of Commerce. Fan Fong seems to have paid a big price. Itota said with great certainty. Wantong Chamber of Commerce. A chamber of commerce that specializes in selling information is so powerful? Chenhao said. Chenhao had seen the introduction of the Wantong Chamber of Commerce in the sex information, but he didn't take it seriously. Yes, the Wantong Chamber of Commerce is very powerful. As long as you can afford it, there is no information that they can't find. Not to mention that you don't even have a disguise now, and your cultivation is only at the middle of the Golden Elixir realm. Even if I used the possession technique and the concealment technique, I couldn't escape their eyes. Yi Feishuan knew that I was in the Sky Wolf Demon area, And she also paid a big price to buy the information from the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. In the world of cultivation, they have spies in every city. Unless you stay in the wilderness and don't come into contact with anyone, there's no wall that doesn't have a crack. Fan Fong must be in the cave as well. Master, with your current strength, I'm afraid. How do you know if you don't try? Let's kill him first. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he quietly followed. Master, he must have a communication talisman and a positioning disc on him. Kill him in one blow. Don't give him any chance to spread the news. Idota saw that Chen Hao had no intention of avoiding and hurriedly said. In terms of killing and robbing, this guy was definitely quite experienced. What is a positioning disc? Chen Hao asked. It had to be said that reading 10,000 books was not as good as traveling 10,000 miles. The sex information was very detailed, but it was impossible to record any details. There were still many things that Chen Hao needed to understand about this mystical world. It is the same as the teleportation talisman. It is a tool that the Sky Armament Pavilion condensed according to the Black Wind Ancient Cave. On the positioning disc of the same group, you can see the position of the others. In other words, as long as you get this guy's positioning disc, you can know the position of Fan Fong and the people he brought. Moreover, the positioning disc will mark many entrances and the routes of the detected areas. As long as the communication talisman is not exposed, Master can assassinate one by one except for Fan Fong. But you have to be fast. Otherwise, the positioning disc of the second person to be killed will not move. If you are not holding it and always together, it will arouse the suspicion of the other party. That's right. I originally wanted to have a big fight. In that case, I will leave it for later, Chen Hao said with a slight smile. Blending into the world, the aura around him was restrained to the extreme. If it was in the arena, it could arouse the opponent's vigilance. But assassinating? Damn it, so many forks looking for ghosts? Let's go to the third level quickly. When there were several forks in the road again, the disciple of the sword faction stopped and took out the positioning disc. Right at this moment, a sword light suddenly streaked across without a sound. Chapter 244. So dizzy. Why is it spinning? There was no reaction. There was not even the slightest intuition of impending death. This sword faction disciple was originally still staring at the positioning disc to see which entrance was closer. But suddenly, the positioning disc could not be seen. The scene in his eyes changed as it spun. He saw a headless corpse that looked very familiar. When he saw the person he was looking for sheathing his sword, his eyes widened. He realized something, but it was too late. He could only cry out in surprise in his heart, but he couldn't say it out loud. Darkness swallowed him. In your next life, remember to follow the right person, Chen Hao said coldly without the slightest bit of mercy. In fact, compared to Yi Wendao, he was already merciful, because he did not use the vermilion bird seal to destroy his soul. Death was like blowing out a lamp. Chen Hao directly opened the storage ring that had lost its brand and had become an ownerless object. This is the teleportation talisman, positioning disc, and communication talisman. There are quite a lot of things. Chen Hao said. Don't just take the storage ring. Quickly keep the Jindan and check the corpse. There might be other gains. Especially these sect disciples, they usually have things like protective armor. There are also weapons and so on. Many times, there are unexpected gains. That makes sense. Like my heaven and earth ring, do others have many storage spaces that are integrated into the mind? If so, how do I take them out? Chen Hao asked as he worked. Don't worry about that. Your heaven and earth ring and 5-element sword are a combination spiritual weapon. Individually, it is only a low-grade spiritual weapon. But when combined, it is a high-grade spiritual weapon. In addition, the 5 divine beasts are integrated into the 5-element sword. At this moment, it is probably a supreme-grade spiritual weapon. There is still a huge room for improvement. Moreover, even a high-grade spiritual weapon may not have a storage space. The heaven and earth ring can only be considered an exception. At least for Jindan disciples, they probably don't have such a powerful spiritual weapon. Even if they do, after a person dies, their soul will leave the body and the spiritual weapon brand will be removed. It will also fall off by itself. Spiritual weapons were the general term for weapons and equipment that surpassed the category of ordinary metal. The materials used to refine them were precious, and they had formations that could increase attack and defense. A low-grade spirit artifact was extremely precious to disciples below the Xiantian realm, but to Golden Core realm experts, it was the most ordinary. However, for Golden Core disciples, even if they were ordinary sect disciples, it was very difficult for them to obtain a middle-grade spirit weapon. Most of them used the lower-grade spirit weapons that were given out by the sect. A high-grade spiritual artifact was even more impossible. Even for nascent soul realm experts, it was very rare. Of course, the super geniuses that the sect focused on nurturing might be an exception. Geniuses with great luck might also be an exception. Those that surpassed superior grade spirit artifacts were earth rank and heaven rank spirit artifacts. These were even rarer. Right at this moment, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit suddenly appeared and spoke in Chen Hao's mind. With me here, would you still have to worry about missing any treasures? Are you done? Chen Hao was pleasantly surprised. After stepping into the Golden Core realm, Chen Hao had always been thinking about tempering the mysterious existence in his mind. Even when he was in the Seven Stars Grotto Heaven, he was still thinking about it. However, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit told him that they still needed some time, and that they could just wait for them to finish. Up until now, Treasure Hunting's sword spirit had not appeared. If it's not good, can I come out? When you have time to cultivate, you can start tempering, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit said. But Chen Hao's face shone with a hint of anticipation as he said. Without wasting any time, after a short conversation, Chen Hao picked up the positioning disc and studied it carefully for a moment. The positioning disc was covered with dense and thin golden lines. From the curved shape of the golden lines and the number annotations, it could be seen that this was the map of the ancient Black Wind Cave. This bigger green dot is where I am. The other smaller green dots are where Fan Fong and the others are. The dark areas outside the red warning line are the areas that have not been detected. They are also the areas that are beyond the range of the teleportation talisman, right? Yes, that's right. Those flashing white dots are the entrances to the next level. The positioning disc only shows the map of the level you are on and your teammates. There are still 3 people on the first level who are approaching the entrance to the second level. They are not far in a straight line, but if you want to chase after them, it will be too late. It will take at least 30 to 40,000 miles to catch up. See you on the second level then, Chen Hao said. Chen Hao turned into a stream of light and flew toward the nearest entrance to the second level. Not long after Chen Hao left, several figures appeared at the place where Chen Hao had killed the disciple of the sword faction as fast as lightning. Coincidentally, he saw a headless corpse that had been gnawed by several demonic beasts. The corpse's white bones were exposed, and some pieces of meat hung on it. Not far away, there was a skull rolling. It was obvious that it had just been gnawed clean. The extremely valiant robe of the Flying Sword School disciple had also been turned into pieces and scattered around. A piece with the symbol of the sword faction embroidered on it was still shining with a faint light. Isn't that the disciple of the sword faction? Senior Brother Li, it seems that the battle has begun. Amazing! He just died, no more than a minute ago. Otherwise, the corpse would have been gnawed clean. I just don't know who it is. But Fan Fong and the others are at least at the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm, which is the same realm as Chen Hao. Another disciple said. Chen Hao's talent and battle strength are very terrifying. Although he is the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking, he is not inferior to the champion at all. In fact, he is even stronger. Otherwise, he would not have been snatched by so many high-level sects. Although the Star-Picking sect is 1 grade lower than our Thunder Valley, they have the 7-star Grotto Heaven, which is suitable for outer disciples to cultivate. This Chen Hao might have comprehended a lot of heavenly Tao laws in there. These people were the disciples that Fan Fong had asked about at the entrance. Except for Senior Brother Li, who was at the late stage of the Golden Elixir realm, The others were at the middle stage and early stage of the golden elixir realm. Chen Hao was already very deep. Although the entrance to Ito Ta's memory had disappeared, the new entrance was not far away. After only an hour, a shining energy vortex appeared in front of Chen Hao. It was like a circular door of light with a diameter of 10 feet. Chen Hao did not stop. He stepped in, and the light dimmed as his body merged into it. This Blackwind ancient cave is too big. There are 14 of us and 14 of us. It is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Moreover, he did not buy a transmission talisman or positioning talisman. Even if he wants to kill others to get them, it will take some time. Why don't we fuck his mother? On the second level of the Blackwind ancient cave, a figure was flying at an astonishing speed. The surrounding low-level demonic beasts sensed his aura and quickly avoided him. They were afraid that they would be killed if they were too slow. This figure was Fan Fong, who had entered the second level first. Fan Fong activated all 13 communication talismans and transmitted his voice into them. Don't look for him. Go straight to the third level. Look at the positioning disc. Try not to repeat the entrance. When you reach the third level, guard the entrance. That kid will come in sooner or later. If there is a situation, inform me immediately. Yes, senior brother. Instantly, the 12 disciples of the sword faction, including Chen Hao, responded when they sensed the fluctuation of the communication talismans. The communication talismans came in pairs. They were useless after one use. Naturally, they would respond. However, Chen Hao had changed his voice to imitate the disciple he had killed. Although there were discrepancies, if one did not listen carefully, Fan Fong would not have noticed. Fan Fong indeed did not notice. After notifying them, he sped up again and rushed to the nearest entrance. More than 2 hours later, Fan Fong arrived at the entrance to the third level. He glanced at the positioning disc and saw that the others were quickly approaching the nearest entrance. He stepped into the light door. This idiot. I was still having a headache about how to kill a few more. He just stretched his neck out. On the second level, Chen Hao deliberately kept his speed about the same as the others. He quickly approached the nearest entrance to the third level. It was impossible not to be excited. Originally, if Chen Hao had killed 2 or 3 people, they would have noticed. But now, they were all guarding the entrance. This was simply courting death. At this moment, Chen Hao also found out how many people Fan Fong had brought. Including the one he had killed, there were 14 of them. In a flash of light, Chen Hao appeared on the third level of the ancient Blackwind cave. Whoosh! A cold demonic wind blew. The entire space was filled with a demonic aura that was many times stronger than on the first and second levels. On the third level, even the weakest demonic beast was at the golden elixir stage. Every entrance would teleport one to the edge of the third level. Demonic beasts were relatively rare and of lower levels. According to the positioning disc, as long as one followed a specific route, they would be able to avoid most of the demonic beasts and quickly arrive at the safe zone at the core of the explored area. The safe zone was the palace in the cave that Ito Ta said demonic beasts could not enter. After Chen Hao took out the positioning disc, he frowned slightly. He found that the light that represented Fan Fong and the others were not guarding the entrance. Instead, they were rushing to the safe zone at the core. Of the other 12 people, 6 had already stepped into the third level. They stopped at the entrance and did not move. Obviously, they were following Fan Fong's orders. The one heading to the core should be Fan Fong. Chen Hao thought for a while and guessed that the light should be Fan Fong. The others should not have disobeyed his orders. Then what was Fan Fong doing in the safe zone? There are 83 entrances on the positioning map alone. It will not be easy to guard me. Since this guy is going to the core, is he looking for help? Or is he looking for a bounty? Very likely. The corners of Chen Hao's mouth revealed a wisp of a strategist's smile. After memorizing the route to the nearest teleportation point of the Flying Sword Sect disciple in his mind, he directly threw the positioning disc to a relatively hidden corner. His figure flashed, and his speed was raised to the limit. The aura around his body was also released without restraint, and it pressured the low-level early-stage golden core stage demon beasts to the point that they all avoided him. Chapter 245. These high-level demonic beasts had extremely high intelligence. Even though they could sense that Chen Hao was only at the middle stage of the golden elixir realm, his terrifying aura let them know that the human in front of them was not someone they could fight against. A quarter of an hour, half an hour, one person died. 2 hours later, 2 people died. Every time Chen Hao killed someone, he would loot their golden elixir and their belongings. After locking on to the next target through the compass, he would throw them into a hidden corner. In a short time, as long as Fan Fong did not withdraw his order to wait, he would not be able to detect Chen Hao's movements. Just as Chen Hao was flying toward the third person, the communication talismans he obtained from the 3 disciples of the Sword Clan vibrated at the same time. "Which one of you left the entrance?" Fan Fong's sullen voice reached Chen Hao's ears. "I was discovered so quickly?" Chen Hao suddenly stopped and thought to himself. Needless to say, someone must have picked up the compass. This time, even if Chen Hao wanted to get away with it, there was no way he could. Other than the first guy, who he heard, the other 2 people he just killed did not hear anything at all. And there was a female disciple. How could he imitate? Compass, 14 people's compass. What are these people doing at the entrance? A figure appeared at the entrance where Chen Hao had killed the second disciple of the Flying Sword School. Relying on his senses that were several times stronger than ordinary people, he easily discovered the positioning disc that Chen Hao had thrown in a hidden place. The figure frowned slightly and said, "Those who can enter here must be in the golden elixir realm. If they dare to guard the entrance, they must be dealing with someone. If that's the case, they should not be in the early stage of the golden elixir realm." They were killed without a sound. The sneakity. Could it be Lung Yihan? He should have been in the ancient Black Wind Cave for 2 days. It's very possible. It's best if someone kills you. He is only in the middle stage of the golden elixir realm, but he stole all my thunder. If not for that sneak attack, how could I lose to him? This figure was the inner disciple of the Myriad Elixir Pavilion, Nye Wanshan, ranked first among the top 10 masters. But this first place was in the past, because now Lung Yihan was the #1 master in the inner sect of the Myriad Pill Pavilion. Even though Lung Yihan was only in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. If Nye Wanshan had lost to Lung Yihan fair and square, he would not have hated Lung Yihan so much. Because in terms of absolute power, Lung Yihan was no match for him at all. He had relied entirely on his strange stealth skills and sneak attacks to injure him severely. Only then did he win by luck. Plus, the sex protection of Lung Yihan made him very unhappy. This time, he followed Lung Yihan quietly, waiting for an opportunity to kill him. If he made a move, he would definitely be discovered by the pavilion master, because Lung Yihan's body had already been imprinted with the seal of life and death. However, he didn't care because he knew very well that dead geniuses were no longer geniuses. As long as he could kill him, even the pavilion master would not sentence him to death. At most, he would only suffer a temporary punishment, but in exchange, he would regain his glory and status. Given his talent, there was no way the sect would give up on him. However, if he could borrow someone else's hand to kill Lung Yihan, that would be the best. Therefore, he took the positioning disc with him. Although he was only guessing that it might be Lung Yihan, he was not sure. But he would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. Even if it was not Lung Yihan, it would be someone unrelated to him. So what if he ruined his good deed? Senior Brother Li, there really is a positioning disc. At almost the same time, when Chen Hao stepped into the entrance of the 3rd floor, several disciples of Thunder Valley also rushed to the 3rd floor. These people were undoubtedly the ones who knew the most about Fan Fong and Lung Yihan. In fact, they were just speculating out of curiosity. So, after stepping into the 3rd floor, they found a positioning disc in a hidden corner. They really are all guarding the entrance. Only one is in the core safe area. That should be Fan Fong, right? Just leave it there and don't move. Senior Brother Li, can't we help the sword sect? Maybe we can get some benefits? Is life more important or benefits more important? We can be curious about this kind of thing, but we can only wait and see. The sword sect is strong, and Fan Fong is a super genius, but you can't understand how dangerous Chen Hao is. although I have only seen the power he displayed when he was a low-level cultivator. Okay, let's go. Our business is to gain experience. Remember, no matter what happens in the future, as long as it has nothing to do with you, it's best not to interfere. For small benefits, you may pay with your life. Oh, how is that possible? 3. Shibai Hui, Chang Yen and Yao Anhua. Did something happen to them? Was it Chen Hao or someone else? Impossible. Yao Anhua is in the late Golden Elixir realm, and Chen Hao is only in the middle Golden Elixir realm. How could he kill them silently? Fan Fang's face was ugly, and a strong murderous aura spread from his body. His face became ferocious and terrifying. 3 of the 13 communication talismans he sent out had not been answered. What did that mean? The cultivators in the palace in the cave felt Fan Fang's ferocious and terrifying aura, and they all kept quiet out of fear. The disciples who were about to leave their rooms to gain experience stopped dead in their tracks, not daring to show their faces. Some of the disciples of the higher-level sects were fine. Although Fan Fang was terrifying, they had the backing of their sects and were not afraid. But some of the rogue cultivators were scared out of their wits, and were afraid that they would become the target of Fan Fang's wrath. In the world of cultivation, strength was supreme, and killing people was like killing chickens. Especially in this kind of treasured training ground, one could die at any time. Fan Fang, who had arrived here in advance, had bought off dozens of rogue cultivators in the late Golden Elixir realm at a low price, and they all dared to go to the other 3 entrances. If anyone could find Chen Hao and inform him, or capture him, they would be rewarded handsomely. Fan Fang did not waste any time. His body turned into a stream of light and rushed out at an astonishing speed. If it was Chen Hao, he would have been exposed. But at this moment, he was sure that Chen Hao was rushing to the nearest entrance. Even if Chen Hao wanted to escape, there was a certain range. With his half-step nascent soul strength, he believed that it would be easy to find Chen Hao. Let's go and have a look. He must have found the super genius Chen Hao of the star-picking sect. Super genius? He is just the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking. And he has the help of the 7-star cave heaven of the star-picking sect. He is nothing compared to Fan Fang. Fan Fang reached the peak of the late Golden Elixir realm in 2 years with his own talent. Whether he is a genius or not, we will know when we see him. Unfortunately, whether he is or not, he is going to die. Let's go and have a look. Fan Fang is known as a super genius second only to the 8th rank sections. I really want to see him. After Fan Fang flew out of the core safety zone palace, countless cultivators followed him out of the enormous hall. Although they did not know what information Fan Fang had obtained, they knew that it had something to do with Chen Hao. This was because all the cultivators in the hall knew that Fan Fang was looking for Chen Hao. After hundreds of cultivators followed Fan Fang, in a room on the 2nd floor of the palace, a figure muttered to himself. Then, mysterious rays of light rose from his body. Who is that? Countless cultivators who were chasing after Fan Fang suddenly saw a young girl in a long blue dress. She had a graceful figure and a black veil over her face. Her speed was astonishing. I don't think I have seen such a beautiful safety zone before. Although the black veil covered the girl's face, one could still vaguely see the outline of her face and her beautiful eyes. Many cultivators were shocked and their minds were captivated. What an obscure aura! I can't even sense her cultivation level. When did such a mysterious girl appear in the cultivation world? A cultivator who was at the peak of the late Golden Elixir stage was slightly older and had rich experience. He was shocked. With his knowledge, he knew all the disciples who were slightly famous in the cultivation world. Chen Hao pondered for a moment, and his expression gradually turned cold. A surge of fighting spirit also began to soar. Looking at the 3 communication talismans that had already died, Chen Hao took a deep breath and directly took out a communication talisman that was still in good condition. "Master, what are you doing?" Idota asked, slightly surprised. "I want to see the power of a half-step nascent soul stage cultivator. Since I have been discovered, there is no need to continue. If you want to fight, let's fight." Chen Hao's handsome face shone with coldness and arrogance as he said in a low voice. So what if he was famous in the Jiaxing sect? If he wanted to rise quickly, he had to strike in a high-profile way. Men were afraid of fame and pigs were afraid of being fat. A true powerhouse had to stand at the cusp of the storm and become a true trendsetter who was not afraid of any challenge. After that, Chen Hao directly activated the communication talisman and said, "Fan Fong, right? Wait for me in the safe area." "What? It's really you? Bastard. Do you think I will believe you? Let me tell you, no matter where you are, you can't escape from my hands. This time, you are dead. Idiot, I want to run. How can you catch me? If you want to waste your energy, then waste it. See you in the safe area. Don't let me wait too long, my patience is limited," Chen Hao said disdainfully. After that, he directly turned into a stream of light and followed the route that had been memorized to the core safe area as fast as lightning. "He's crazy," Itoda said in horror. Chen Hao's tone made him dare not question. But Chen Hao's actions made him very worried. Even if he already knew a lot about Chen Hao, he did not think that Chen Hao, who was only at the middle stage of Golden Core, had the ability to fight against Chen Hao, who was half a step away from nascent soul. In his opinion, Chen Hao's confidence was too inflated. One must know that there was always someone better than you. Especially Fan Fong, who was not as simple as an ordinary half a step away from nascent soul. He was a super genius who could challenge those of a higher level. P.S. I feel guilty and dare not ask for votes. I will definitely speed up the update next week. Definitely. There is nothing I can do this week. Especially this weekend, there may be more tragedies in the next 2 days. Everyone, please bear with it. Chapter 246. Humph, do you think I'm an idiot? Fan Fong replied again. His body did not stop at all. The powerful senses of a half-step nascent soul realm cultivator spread out. With his keen senses, he determined the possible escape routes and directions of Chen Hao within a radius of several hundred miles and quickly chased after him. 4 hours later, Fan Fong's face was livid. He took a deep breath, turned around, and quickly headed for the safety zone. He was full of confidence, but he was infuriated by Chen Hao in their first encounter. After 4 hours, he didn't sense any aura of Chen Hao, but he received a message from Chen Hao again. Safety zone. Why did he go back? The beautiful girl in a blue dress with a black veil covering her face was one of the few experts who could keep up with Fan Fong's speed. She was slightly surprised when she found that Fan Fong had stopped moving forward and was instead heading back quickly. Some of the cultivators who were following behind and waiting to watch a good show also turned around and headed back. Is this the palace in the cave? Chen Hao suddenly appeared at the entrance of the huge palace in the core safety zone like a breeze. This was a huge space with a radius of thousands of miles and a height of tens of thousands of feet. There was a huge circular palace complex in the core area, which was emitting an ancient and cold aura. Just as Chen Hao was staring at the palace and feeling slightly shocked, a woman's scream came from far behind him. It was very soft and obviously hundreds of miles away, but it didn't escape Chen Hao's sharp perception. Bang, bang, bang. In a moment, the sound of mountains shaking and the earth shaking came closer. A terrifying aura of a demonic beast gradually became clear. What a powerful demonic beast! Chen Hao was slightly surprised and turned around. 2 silhouettes were flying toward the palace at a speed several times faster than the speed of sound. 10 miles behind them, a crimson demonic beast that was even taller than a small mountain was following. It looked like it was made of underground lava, and each step it took covered several thousand meters. Obviously, it was getting closer and closer to the 2 cultivators in front of it. Junior sister, don't be afraid. Hang in there. We'll reach the safety zone soon. Senior brother Duan, don't worry about me, it's too late. A female disciple at the very back was being grabbed by a young man. She was running for her life, her mouth full of blood. Even her clothes had countless black holes that looked like they had been burned, revealing her protective armor. Even so, the 2 of them were emitting a burnt smell. This was especially true for the youth who had used his body to block the attack. His back was completely black. Their auras were clearly at the peak of the late golden elixir realm. The young man, in particular, was half a step away from the nascent soul realm. However, the demonic beast they encountered was too strong. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that a red flame beast would appear in a region that was clearly suitable for a peak late-stage golden core realm cultivator to cultivate. The red flame beast's battle prowess was close to that of an early nascent soul realm expert. Even if an early nascent soul stage expert encountered him, he would be forced to retreat. It had a huge body that seemed to be made of magma. Even if it was chopped into pieces, it could still regenerate its body. It was one of the legendary immortal demonic beasts that contained a pure immortal bloodline. Its speed was also as abnormal as that of an early nascent soul stage expert. Out of the 8 of them, only the 2 of them were still alive. Initially, they had scattered in all directions to escape. Even so, the others were killed one by the red flame beast and burned into ashes. What a terrifying demonic aura! The tremors of the earth and mountains, as well as the demonic aura that covered thousands of miles, alerted the cultivators who were immersed in cultivation in the palaces hundreds of miles away. One by one, they flew out of the palaces with a shocked expression on their faces. Help! The young girl let out a sharp, loud, terrified, and hopeful cry. What was so close yet worlds apart? This was called. They were about to escape into the safety zone of the palaces, but the red flame beast was getting closer and closer. According to the red flame beast's attack range, they would be finished in another 4 breaths. When the young girl saw the cultivators flying out of the palaces, she called for help. Although she did not have much hope, this was because the cultivators here were only golden core stage experts. Who could stop them? Even if they could stop them for a moment, who would help them? I'm Ling Tiansek's Duan Yufei. I'll give 10 million level 8 spirit pills to whoever saves my junior sister. My junior sister is the direct descendant of the Ling Tiansek's sect leader, Xia Lanlan. The heavily injured young man was completely relying on his willpower to support himself. The young man who was well versed in the ways of the world did not cry for help like the young girl. Even so, no one was willing to joke around with their own lives. No matter how many spirit pills there were, they would not be able to enjoy them if they lost their lives. Who was Duan Yufei? He was the super genius who was ranked 9th among the inner court disciples of the grade 9 sect, Ling Tian sect. He had long stepped into the half-step nascent soul stage. Even he was running for his life. Most of the people present were at the intermediate and mastery stage of the golden core stage. There were only a few at the peak of the mastery stage of the golden core stage. Who would dare to go up? The red flame beast's breath could burn them into ashes. When he saw the 2 of them, Chen Hao had already merged with heaven and earth. Although he did not have the thought that saving a life was better than a 7-storied pagoda, if he could save 2 lives by lifting his hand, Chen Hao still did not mind. Not to mention, the young man was so protective of a woman that it was worth Chen Hao to do so. Of course, Chen Hao was not sure if he could kill the red flame beast. Moreover, now was not the time. A great battle that he had no confidence in was still waiting for him. However, the safety zone was right in front of him. Blocking it for a while was not the slightest problem. But the young man's words caused Chen Hao to be slightly stunned. Ling Tian sect, Xia Lanlan. Could it be that she was Yu Yu's sister? Junior sister, goodbye. Save her. Duan Yufei looked at the indifferent crowd that was only 100 miles away. He did not dare hesitate, nor did he have the time to hesitate. Suddenly, he looked deeply at the young girl and said with determination. Without giving the young girl time to react, he suddenly swung his arm and used all his strength to throw the young girl away. No. The young girl realized something and screamed in terror and despair. 7-star alignment, break. A clear voice could be heard all of a sudden. The young man who had completely given up on resisting and exhausted his last bit of strength was falling. His eyes were filled with affection, anxiety, and anticipation as he stared at the red figure that was rapidly approaching the palace. He did not think that he was already in a dead end. His only hope was that Xia Lanlan could survive and be rescued by others into the palace. However, at this moment, a clear and cold voice sounded in his ears. Immediately, he felt his body being forcefully thrown away. At the same time, he saw a dazzling and mysterious sword gleam. The energy was not strong. In fact, it was far inferior to his. However, the profound and incomparably sharp and indestructible aura contained in this sword gleam shocked him. Buzz! Screams erupted from the palace, from the mouths of the cultivators who were holding or carrying swords on their backs. Their swords actually showed signs of being unsheathed uncontrollably. However, what shocked them even more was that at this moment, the terrifying red flame beast collided with the sword gleam that contained shocking sword intent. Boom! The earth shook and the mountains shook. The mountain-like red flame beast was actually split into two. Like a collapsing mountain, it rumbled and collapsed to both sides. The lava-like body instantly dyed the sky red, like the magma of a volcano erupting. How is this possible? So strong. Who could be so strong? Is this an expert of the nascent soul stage? Voices filled with shock and disbelief exploded in the palace. The cultivators who originally wanted to take advantage of the momentary opportunity that Duan Yufei had exchanged his life for to save Xia Lanlan in exchange for a huge sum of money had all forgotten to do so, dumbfounded. Hiss! A gust of wind blew past. Duan Yufei, who had not yet landed on the ground, was also grabbed by his clothes in shock. Then, Xia Lanlan, who had fallen less than 50 miles away from the palace, was also grabbed by someone and flew to the palace as fast as lightning. Senior brother! Xia Lanlan shouted weakly. Thank you. Duan Yufei did not answer Xia Lanlan. He looked at Chen Hao with difficulty and said. Everyone stared blankly at the young man in a white robe who was flying to the palace as fast as lightning. It's Chen Hao. It's Chen Hao. It's exactly the same as the portrait that Fan Fong took out. Too strong. What a terrifying sword intent, what a terrifying sword. Is he really only at the middle stage of the Golden Core stage? Who is Chen Hao? Some people who were just immersed in cultivation did not see the scene when Fan Fong arrived. After hearing someone call out his name, they could not help but ask. Chen Hao is the runner-up who tied with the champion of the 100 Empire rankings 2 years ago. Just now, the super genius of the sword faction, Fan Fong, went out to kill him, so strong. An early-stage Golden Core stage disciple, who knew the whole process but did not have the strength to follow and watch the show, stared at the rapidly approaching Chen Hao with eyes full of surprise and explained. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Chen Hao, who was flying over with one hand in each hand. Those who knew him and those who did not, without exception, were shocked beyond words. Because at this moment, they all clearly sensed Chen Hao's aura. He was only at the middle stage of the Golden Core stage, not the nascent soul stage master they had imagined. Roar! Just as everyone was shocked, the huge body of the red flame beast condensed again in the blink of an eye and burst out with a roar that resounded through heaven and earth. Retreat quickly! All the practitioners who were swarming at the entrance of the palace suddenly had no time to be shocked and retreated into the palace in horror. Chen Hao took 2 people into the palace in time. Bang! 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 In 2 breaths, the red flame beast approached the palace. Knowing that it was impossible for the red flame beast to enter the palace, these practitioners were still scared out of their wits. Boom! The red flame beast, whose dignity had been challenged, rushed over crazily, but when it reached the entrance of the palace, it was directly rebounded by a mysterious and terrifying light. Its huge body rolled for dozens of miles before it stood up and roared crazily. In a moment, it rushed to the entrance of the palace again, but this time, it did not dare to approach. Instead, he roared angrily at the palace, especially Chen Hao. Weekly, I will update twice today. Chapter 247. Some of the cultivators were still shocked by the roaring red flame beast that was guarding the only entrance of the safe zone. Its mountain-like body cut off the chance for anyone to get in or out. Oh no, this red flame beast is guarding the entrance. We can't even go out to train. How long can it guard us? Those who have returned from training outside must be worse than us. Junior brother, junior sister. When tomorrow noon comes, I will activate the transmission talisman and go out first. Senior brother, what are you going to do? We have only been here for a month. This beast won't guard us for too long, right? It's best if you don't leave. I will go out and send the news back to the sect. This is a red flame beast with immortal bloodline. If you can kill it and extract its blood essence, it will be priceless. It is definitely more precious than a high-grade spiritual weapon. Even a nascent soul stage master can't really kill it. Others must have the same idea. However, our sect is the closest to here. As long as one of the inner elders comes, it will be enough. Hehe, it's just 100,000 level 8 spirit pills. As long as you send the news back, you can buy a few as a reward. If you can get the blood essence of the red flame beast, the reward will be even greater. Many experienced cultivators with higher cultivation bases had the same idea. However, they could only wait until noon tomorrow to activate the transmission talisman, and it only lasted for a quarter of an hour. After all, the giant transmission array built by the Heavenly Armament Pavilion consumed a lot of energy to operate once. It could not be operated all the time. Otherwise, Duan Yufei, Xia Lanlan and the others would not be in such a desperate situation. They could just activate the transmission talisman. Chen Hao ignored the shocked eyes and the buzzing discussions of the crowd. He took Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan, who had fallen into a coma, and quickly flew into the depths of the palaces. The palaces in the safe zone could not be entered at will. Different levels of strength could only enter the palaces of different levels. If one's strength was not enough, the gate of the palace would not open. Once someone entered, the gate would be closed. No matter how strong one was, they could not open it. It was absolutely safe to cultivate in seclusion here. This was also the reason why all the cultivators dared to gather together. Otherwise, the safe zone would be filled with blood and flesh. Who would come here? Chen Hao already knew the situation from Mitoda. It wasn't until they reached the front of a huge palace in the core area that Chen Hao stopped in front of everyone's gasps. He sent out a beam of energy and suspended the two unconscious people in the air. Then, he pressed his palm against the door, and a majestic energy surged out. Rumble. Without giving the crowd much time to speculate, the palace doors rumbled open with a resplendent light. Chen Hao's figure flashed, and he took a step in with the two of them. Soon after, the door of the palace slowly closed, and silence was restored. Too powerful, awesome. Who would have thought that Chen Hao, who was only in the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm, would have such strength? It was unbelievable. That sword strike from before was sufficient to prove that he possessed the combat strength of an expert at the peak of the late-stage Golden Core realm. Moreover, he was a super genius. Otherwise, it would be absolutely impossible for him to slash the red flame beast apart with a single strike. Now, being able to enter this palace was sufficient to show that his true essence was dense to the peak of the advanced stage of the Golden Core realm. Moreover, he's also a super genius. That's right. I've been here for half a year, and that row of palaces can only be opened by a few disciples at the peak of the late-stage Golden Core realm. Is rich. This Chen Hao saved Xia Lanlan, the granddaughter of the Ling Tian sect's sect leader. I'm afraid it's not as simple as the reward of medicinal pills, right? Moreover, there's also the super genius disciple of the Ling Tian sect, Duan Yufei. I'm so jealous. What's the use of being jealous? Cultivate diligently. If we have such strength, we'll be the ones who'll be rich. It's hard to say whether we'll be rich or not. Even if we're rich, we'll still have to be alive to enjoy it, right? Chen Hao's strength is not bad, but don't forget that Fan Feng is looking for him. I'm afraid it won't be long before he gets the news. The crowd discussed animatedly. Chen Hao's strength was undoubtedly shocking. Slicing the crimson flame beast with a sword and blasting open the palace that could only be opened by a super genius at the peak of the advanced stage of the Golden Core realm with a palm was enough to shock everyone present. However, it did not mean that Chen Hao was more powerful than Fan Feng. As for Duan Yufei, whom he saved, in everyone's opinion, he was not someone Chen Hao could compare to. One must know that although Duan Yufei had almost died, it was absolutely astonishing that he was able to bring Xia Lanlan and escape to this place. The reason Chen Hao could save them was entirely because of the safety zone. If there was no safety zone, no matter how strong Chen Hao was, how many times could he cut the Crimson Flame Beast? How many times could he withstand the Crimson Flame Beast's attacks? A genius disciple of a grade 9 sect possessed ultimate techniques and combat strength. Not to mention grade 6 and grade 7 sects, even grade 8 sects could not be compared to them. This was because the gap between grade 1 and grade 8 sects had a certain value as the grade increased. However, there was a huge gap between grade 8 and grade 9 sections. It was not something that could be measured by the gap between grade 7 and grade 8 sections. In the entire Eastern continent, there were thousands of sects, but only 10 of them could reach grade 9. They were the best in the world and were the leaders. Even if Ling Tian sect was slightly weaker among grade 9 sects, they could barely catch up with grade 8 sections. They could not be compared at all. Therefore, even Xia Lanlan, who was at the peak of the advanced stage of the Golden Core realm, was much stronger than Chen Hao, let alone Duan Yufei, who was a super genius in Ling Tian sect, who was ranked 9th. Even Fan Fong, who was a grade 6 sect super genius, might not be stronger than Xia Lanlan. After stepping into the palace, Chen Hao took out 2 healing pills that Yuan Tairan had given him and stuffed them into their mouths. Then, he urged his mind to wake the 2 unconscious people up. Immediately, Xia Lanlan and Duan Yufei regained consciousness. However, their severely injured and weak bodies did not listen to him at all. They could only force their eyes open. Your lives are saved. Heal your injuries yourselves. As for my reward, just give it to me when you've recovered. I believe that a genius disciple of a grade 9 sect won't go back on his word. Chen Hao said calmly. Don't worry. Thank you. Duan Yufei said weakly with a hint of gratitude in his eyes. Xia Lanlan originally had a look of gratitude, but after hearing Chen Hao's words, there was an obvious change in her expression. Although there was no disdain, there was no gratitude either. He had only saved her for the reward. You're welcome. I'm just doing it for the reward you mentioned, Chen Hao said calmly. Initially, when he decided to save them, he did not think about the reward. However, after knowing their identities, he had to accept the reward. Proud and unyielding, he didn't want to be associated with flattery, especially the people from Ling Tian sect. He could not. May I ask, how should I address you, brother? Star-picking sect, Chen Hao. All right, heal yourselves, Chen Hao said directly, since he knew he could not hide it anymore. He was about to walk out of the palace as he spoke. Hearing Chen Hao's name and sect, Xia Lanlan's eyes were filled with shock as she stared at Chen Hao. Brother Chen, wait, Duan Yufei said. Chen Hao stopped and turned around to ask, is there anything else? I can give you the reward now. You can take everything in my storage ring. It's definitely worth more than 10 million grade 8 spirit pills. Brother Chen, please give one of the little Nirvana pills to my junior sister. Duan Yufei said strenuously. At the same time, he activated the remaining energy in his dantian to refine the healing medicine that Chen Hao had injected into his dantian. He could feel that the healing medicine was not bad, but it was too weak for his and Xia Lanlan's injuries. It was not enough to describe him and Xia Lanlan as being on the brink of death. Lightly shaking his head, Chen Hao turned around and stepped out of the palace. Chapter 248. The moment Chen Hao stepped out of the palace, the roaring flame beast guarding the entrance of the safe zone roared even louder. Obviously, this monster had been paying attention to Chen Hao from dozens of miles away. So vengeful and powerful. With this guy guarding the entrance, I'm afraid no one will be able to enter or leave in a short time, except for me. Chen Hao's lips curled up slightly. When he saw that everyone's eyes were on him again, he hurriedly walked to the adjacent huge palace. After entering the palace, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged, took out Duan Yufei's storage ring, and immersed his mind into it. No wonder he's a super genius of a 9th-rank sect. What shocked Chen Hao was that Duan Yufei's high-grade storage ring was definitely of the highest quality. Generally speaking, High-grade storage rings were more than 10 meters square and were not fixed. The larger the space, the higher the price. As long as it was 10 meters square, it was considered a high-grade storage ring. However, the space in Duan Yufei's storage ring was 60 meters in length and 10 meters in height, which was equivalent to a small palace. Thousands of milky white crystals were neatly piled together. They were middle-grade primal crystal stones. Primal crystal stones could only be used when one entered the Khanate realm, which was the Saint realm. Even Khanate realm experts would only be willing to use them when they were breaking through the barrier. They were extremely precious. However, for Golden Elixir realm experts, primal crystal stones were essential for cultivation. They were much more precious than level 8 spiritual pills and the rarer level 9 spiritual pills. And this was in the case of lower-grade primal crystal stones. In theory, 100 level 8 spiritual pills or 10 level 9 spiritual pills could be exchanged for one lower-grade primal crystal stone. However, under normal circumstances, no one would be willing to exchange primal crystal stones for elixirs. This was because primal crystal stones were essential for cultivation for experts above the Golden Elixir realm. Using food as an analogy, level 8 and level 9 spiritual pills were simple meals, while primal crystal stones were delicious dishes. Middle-grade primal crystal stones were even more precious. One was equivalent to 10 lower-grade primal crystal stones, which was also theoretical. If one really wanted to exchange for elixirs, they could definitely exchange for 12. 5,500 mid-grade primal crystal stones are equivalent to 66,000 low-grade primal crystal stones. One low-grade primal crystal stone is equivalent to 100 level 8 spirit pills, which is equivalent to 6,600,000 level 8 spirit pills. In addition to the mid-grade primal crystal stones, there were nearly 13,000 low-grade primal crystal stones, 40,000 level 9 spirit pills, and 1,300,000 level 8 spirit pills. All of these added up to about 10 million level 8 spiritual pills. Moreover, there were countless large pieces of ores and other items that were obviously of great value in the storage ring. Even without careful calculation, Chen Hao knew that the value of Duan Yufei's storage ring far exceeded 10 million Tier 8 spirit pills, or even 20 million Tier 8 spirit pills. Phew! Chen Hao let out a long sigh, and a smile appeared on his face. Although he didn't expect to get a reward, he really got it. Especially when he saw such a shocking amount of wealth, Chen Hao suddenly felt that it was worth it. He deserved it, and he deserved it. Even if he was a little reluctant to take it, but they did it willingly, didn't they? It was a fair trade, wasn't it? I'm afraid Fan Fong will take at least 2 hours to come back. This red flame beast won't be able to stop him from coming in. I'll recover to my peak state first. Chen Hao didn't use much energy to save Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan, but he used at least 1/5 of his energy to cut the red flame beast in half. Facing Fan Fong, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, Chen Hao didn't dare to let his guard down. Taking a deep breath, Chen Hao took out a mid-grade primal crystal stone, pressed his palms on it, and began to refine and absorb the purer and more majestic energy within. Whoosh! Fan Fong's body moved like lightning, and he returned to the safe zone as fast as he could. This time I'll chop this son of a bitch into meat paste and refine his soul. His soul will be destroyed, and he will never be reincarnated. I'll avenge my sister. And Tan Tai Lien, who hasn't come out yet? Fan Fong had suppressed his anger for 2 years, and the closer he got to the safe zone, the more intense it burned. However, he was still a little worried about whether Chen Hao's words were true or not. But he could only believe it for now, because he couldn't find Chen Hao. The beautiful girl in the blue dress was silent. Although Fan Fong, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, had increased his speed to the maximum, the girl's body was like a flickering shadow, and she always maintained the same distance from Fan Fong. However, the terrifying aura emanating from Fan Fong's body made the girl frown. "Hey, what are you running for?" A stream of light suddenly shot out from a fork in the road. Seeing that the figures had increased their speed to the maximum and were rushing toward the safe zone, this figure appeared beside a cultivator who was running wildly and asked condescendingly, "What's the matter?" We're chasing Fan Fong, the super genius of the flying sword sect, Fan Fong. The disciple was startled when he sensed the terrifying aura coming from the figure, and hurriedly answered truthfully. Fan Fong of the flying sword sect? Yes. We're just here to watch the fun. Fan Fong wants to kill Chen Hao of the star-picking sect, and that Chen Hao is also a super genius. Super genius my ass. After the figure understood what was going on, he said disdainfully, and then turned into a streak of light and sped away. Chen Hao, the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking who tied with Lung Yihan. It's said that he's good friends with Lung Yihan. He must be the one who killed the disciple of the flying sword sect. I'd like to see how powerful the little 100 Empire ranking is. This figure was none other than the inner disciple of the Myriad Pill Pavilion, Nya Wanshan, who ranked first among the top 10 experts. He was the guy who had moved the positioning disc and ruined Chen Hao's plan. At this moment, his handsome face flashed with a hint of viciousness. He had originally thought that it was Lung Yihan who had killed the disciple of the flying sword sect, but based on the current situation, it should be Chen Hao. Chen Hao, who was good friends with Lung Yihan. Naturally, he had to rush over to see if he could find Lung Yihan. With his strength increased again, he was confident that he could kill Lung Yihan here. What a beautiful girl, her strength is not bad either. With his astonishing speed, Nya Wanshan quickly overtook countless cultivators and caught up to the front. At this moment, he saw a graceful figure in a blue dress. Through the black veil, he could vaguely see the girl's beautiful face. Suddenly increasing his speed again, Nya Wanshan appeared beside the beautiful girl like lightning. The girl frowned slightly, and a cold aura suddenly burst out. Miss, don't misunderstand. I'm Nya Wanshan, ranked first among the inner disciples of the Myriad Pill Pavilion. May I know your name? Nya Wanshan smiled slightly and said. The viciousness on his face had long disappeared without a trace. His eyes were bright and full of expression, and he did not hide his admiration for the beautiful girl at all. He cupped his fists in a cultured and elegant manner. Nya Wanshan was confident that with his reputation in the cultivation world and his handsome and elegant appearance, he would have no problem winning the favor of this beautiful girl. The first among the inner disciples of the Myriad Pill Pavilion seems to be Lung Yihan, right? What Nya Wanshan did not expect was that although the girl had put away her fighting spirit, there was a hint of sarcasm in her tone as she glanced at Nya Wanshan. Her voice was very pleasant, but it carried a chill that made one's hair stand on end. Nya Wanshan's face darkened. If anyone else dared to say this in front of him, he would have killed them with a slap. But now, he suppressed the anger in his heart and said with a smile, Miss, you're well informed. However, you probably don't know that Lung Yihan defeated me completely by relying on a despicable sneak attack, right? Lung Yihan also came to the Black Wind Ancient Cave. If nothing unexpected happens, you will soon know who is the real number one of the Myriad Pill Pavilion. With me, there will be no other. Is that so? Then I'm really looking forward to it, the girl said lightly, and in the depths of her beautiful eyes, an imperceptible chill flashed. May I know your name? Which high-level sect are you from? Nya Wanshan's face flashed with confidence as he asked again. Chen Shui, a loose cultivator, the girl said coldly. I didn't expect Miss Chen Shui to be a loose cultivator with such cultivation. What a pity. Miss Chen Shui, are you willing to join our Myriad Pill Pavilion? With Miss Chen Shui's age and cultivation, I only need to say a word, and the sect will definitely give you special treatment as an inner disciple. Sorry, I'm not interested in the sect. After the beautiful girl finished speaking, she suddenly sped up. Obviously, she didn't want to be with Nya Wanshan. You're arrogant. Not bad. Nya Wanshan didn't care at all. He smiled and followed her again. Such a beautiful girl with such cultivation would definitely have countless suitors. If it was easy to get her, she would have become someone's cultivation partner long ago. He wouldn't have stayed until now. To Nya Wanshan, it was a great opportunity for him to meet her this time. How could he not be patient? Red Flame Beast? Fan Fong, who was rushing at full speed, sensed the terrifying aura of a demonic beast hundreds of miles away. He was originally wondering why there was such a terrifying demonic aura in the safety zone. When he got close, Fan Fong suddenly stopped. 300 miles away, he stared in horror at the mountain-like red flame beast blocking the entrance of the palace area. The terrifying roar of the beast seemed to contain monstrous anger. Phew! It's the red flame beast? How could it be here? The beautiful young woman and Ye Wanshan, who had followed closely behind, also revealed a trace of astonishment in their eyes as they thought to themselves. The three of them didn't dare to approach recklessly, and they all restrained their auras. They knew how terrifying the red flame beast was. Once it caught up, even they wouldn't be able to escape. Fortunately, this was the safety zone. It wouldn't be a problem for them to resist for a while and escape into the safety zone. However, what puzzled them was that the red flame beast clearly sensed their arrival, but it didn't rush over. It just guarded the entrance of the palace and roared angrily. While Fan Fong, Nye Wanshan, and the beautiful girl were hesitating, some cultivators had arrived one after another. They couldn't help but cry out in horror. "I've been waiting for you." Fan Fong's face flashed with a hint of viciousness, and he suddenly rushed toward the entrance of the safety zone. Chapter 249. The more people there were, the more targets there would be. Fan Fong was sure that he could resist the red flame beast for a while, but if the red flame beast did not give him time to get into the safe zone and chased after him, it would be a tragedy. Fan Fong, who had already noticed the two experts behind him, did not take them into account. Because he knew that the beautiful woman's aura was extremely obscure, and her speed was definitely not inferior to his. The other expert who had just chased after him was Nye Wanshan. Fan Fong had known him for a long time, but they had not interacted with each other. He knew how strong Nye Wanshan was, and it was impossible to tell who would win before they really fought. Therefore, it was unlikely that these two people would become his scapegoats. But it was different now. Among the cultivators who came one after another, some who knew the terror of the red flame beast were fine, while others felt the terror of the red flame beast, but were not very afraid. In their opinion, with so many experts present, how could a demonic beast overturn the sky? Fan Fong turned into a stream of light. His aura was still restrained, but his speed was not as fast as before. Sure enough, it was as he expected. Many cultivators who did not know the immortal body of the red flame beast saw Fan Fong rushing to meet it head-on, and immediately wanted to take advantage of the situation and follow him. "Miss Chen Shui, let's go, we also..." Whoosh! The beautiful girl turned a deaf ear to the flies around her. She ignored them and directly turned into a streak of light. Obviously, she had already lost the most basic patience after being harassed by the flies for an hour without any sense of shame. Humph, what's there to be proud of? None of the women that I, Nye Wanshan, value can escape from my hands. You're just a rogue cultivator. If it weren't for the fact that you have some weight, I would have tolerated you a little longer. If you had crossed my bottom line, don't blame me for reversing the order and conquering your body first, then your heart. Nye Wanshan thought in his heart. Staring at the graceful blue dress, a touch of imperceptible lust flashed in his eyes. He took a step forward and rushed out as fast as lightning. The three experts have rushed out, what are you waiting for? Now is not the time to lose. Let's go, now is the time to rush into the safe zone. Senior brother Fan is going quick. Those who could chase after Fan Fong to watch the show were naturally extremely curious disciples. At this moment, they naturally wouldn't give up. Although it was a little dangerous, cultivators lived their lives in danger. With so many people, it was nothing compared to the perilous experience. As long as there was a sliver of a chance, they could rush into the safe zone. Fan Fong is rushing over. There are so many cultivators. This is going to be interesting. It can't be? What a stunning woman. Especially the stunning beauty, it was not strange that no one knew her, but it was a little strange that the countless disciples present who often went out to gain experience did not know her at all. The only explanation was that she was a disciple who had just come out to gain experience. Such situations often occurred in powerful sections. It was not rare for sects that had ultimate techniques that required a pure and untainted soul to cultivate. For example, the 9th grade sect, Ling Tian sect, had an ultimate technique that required the purest soul to cultivate. Even the highly intelligent red flame beast could feel the aura of the 3 ant-like humans. They were not inferior to the hateful Chen Hao in the slightest. Even compared to Duan Yufei, who was almost killed by it, there was not much difference. Therefore, at this moment, it stretched out its arm that was 1,000 feet long. With a roar, a fist the size of a small mountain blasted toward the 3 people's attacks. Boom, boom, boom. 3 terrifying explosions sounded almost at the same time. Fan Fang's sword abruptly dodged the roaring flame beast's fist at an amazing speed, then turned into a huge light screen, slashing towards the roaring flame beast's neck. The roaring flame beast's lava-like body was cut into 2 halves by the neck. The stunning beauty's ant-like finger shot directly between the red flame beast's eyebrows. With a loud bang, it pierced through the red flame beast's body. Crush! The red flame beast's lava-like body immediately collapsed. However, this time, the collapse was like a mountain torrent that rolled toward the 3 of them. Break! 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 Boom! 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 The 3 of them frantically activated their strongest protective true origin energy to force back the lava that contained the red flame beast's terrifying will that burned everything. At the same time, they turned into 3 streaks of light that were as fast as lightning. With a loud rumble, they successfully rushed into the safe zone. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Some cultivators with higher cultivation seized this critical opportunity and swarmed into the safe zone like a swarm of locusts. However, some of the weaker disciples who did not accurately estimate the red flame beast's power and whose protective true origin energy was broken by the terrifying temperature of the lava halfway through the safe zone. They screamed miserably and were set ablaze. Then, they turned into ashes without leaving even a trace. The gold cores in their bodies became the red flame beast's nourishment. This horrible scene scared some of the cultivators out of their wits and they quickly retreated. The roar that resounded through the heaven and earth became the alarm bell that signaled the red flame beast's bloodlust. With the nourishment of the gold cores, the red flame beast took shape again in just a breath's time. Its aura became even more terrifying. The lava-like energy condensed into numerous fireballs and shot down the cultivators who were fleeing in panic. As for the disciples who did not hesitate and continued to rush forward, although they were severely injured, they succeeded. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the brave will win. In fact, many of the dead could have fought their way through, but they had lost their courage and could only die. What a terrifying guy! The beautiful girl in her blue dress was untainted by a speck of dust. She completely ignored the burning gazes and turned to stare at the red flame beast behind her, thinking to herself. It had to be said that a beautiful girl, especially a powerful one, would attract the most attention no matter where she went. Fan Fang and Yawanshan were equally powerful, but almost all eyes were focused on the stunning blue dress. Son of a bitch, Chen Hao, get out here. Fan Fang did not give the crowd much time to wait. With a sudden explosion, like a thunderclap, the whole palace trembled. Some of the weaker cultivators activated their protective true origin energy and quickly retreated. Senior brother, this Fan Fang is not as strong as Chen Hao, right? Chen Hao cut the red flame beast in half with a single sword strike. The 3 of them joined forces. It's hard to say. It doesn't matter whether they joined forces or not. Chen Hao hid his aura and launched a sneak attack. Fan Fang and the other 2 fought head-on. Besides, didn't Fan Fang cut the red flame beast in half with a single sword strike? Let's wait and see, the show is about to start. Could Nie Wanshan and the girl be the experts that Fan Fang has invited? I don't think so. These people are very concerned about their own reputations. They would not join forces against Chen Hao, who is only at the intermediate golden core stage. Son of a bitch, how dare he call him son of a bitch? No one objected to Fan Fang's words, but the girl in the blue dress, beautiful eyes, hidden under the black veil, shone with an undetectable murderous intent. At that moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on a huge palace. Fan Fang's sharp senses naturally picked up on the crowd's discussion. coupled with the crowd's gaze, he was instantly sure that Chen Hao was not lying to him, and that he was in that palace. Fan Fong turned into a ray of light and rushed to the entrance of the palace where Chen Hao was. "Son of a bitch, come out. Today I, Fan Fong, will tear you to pieces and destroy your soul." Fan Fong roared and slammed his palm on the palace door. Fan Fong knew that he would not be able to break it, but he could not suppress the anger in his heart. The expression on his face became ferocious and terrifying. He had waited for this day for too long. Now, he could finally avenge his beloved sister. Chapter 250. Another word, son of a bitch. Fan Fong's mind was only filled with the desire to avenge his sister and tear Chen Hao to shreds. He didn't notice that not far away, the girl in the blue dress was biting her lips under the black veil. Her eyes once again emitted a strong killing intent that was bone-chilling. Nie Wanshan, on the other hand, had noticed the blue-dressed girl's strange behavior. However, at this moment, both he and the blue-dressed girl were standing behind Fan Fong, and Fan Fong was standing at the entrance of the palace. From this angle, Nie Wanshan could not help but misunderstand. He thought to himself, could it be that she also has a grudge against that Chen Hao? That's fun. Chen Hao is on good terms with Leng Yihan. I can use him to attack Leng Yihan. Fan Fong, right? Nie Wanshan's lips curled into a proud smile. In a flash, he appeared beside Fan Fong. "What? Brother Nie, are you going to interfere?" Fan Fong, who was furious, frowned and said coldly. If it were anyone else, he would have killed them. However, Nie Wanshan was so powerful that he did not dare to. "That's right. But you don't have to worry. I, Nie Wanshan, am helping you. You can kill him. I just need to teach him a lesson. If I don't teach a son of a bitch on the 100 Empire ranking a lesson, I will be very unhappy. Especially if he is on good terms with Leng Yihan." I forgot. You are also on the 100 Empire ranking. But I didn't mean to criticize you. Fan Fong's face became very ugly. If not for the fact that his goal was to kill Chen Hao, he would have already attacked Nie Wanshan. Chen Hao is still not coming out. He must be afraid. Fan Fong's aura is indeed terrifying. He is half a step away from the nascent soul stage. I heard that he was half a step away from the nascent soul stage a long time ago. Based on his talent, he should have triggered the divine punishment long ago. The only reason he hasn't is because of Chen Hao's inner demon. That should be the case. The divine punishment does not only test the physical body, but also the state of mind. Even someone as strong as Fan Fong does not dare to be careless. The slightest carelessness will result in the destruction of both body and soul. No wonder Chen Hao would save Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan from Ling Tian sect. He's so smart. It's obvious that he's waiting for Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan to help him after they've healed. Nie Wanshan wants to participate as well? So it seems that the girl in the blue dress is also with them? TSK, 3 against 3, things are going to get interesting. They're all super geniuses. But Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan's injuries will take a long time to recover. Otherwise, Fan Fong and the other two won't stand a chance. When Fan Fong began to attack the palace gates and Nie Wanshan intervened, the crowd was abuzz with discussion. Although they didn't know how long the stalemate would last, there was no doubt that once Chen Hao came out, he would erupt with something that was beyond everyone's imagination. These cultivators were looking forward to seeing such a battle between super genius disciples. If they could understand a thing or two, it would be beneficial to their own cultivation. Save Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan from the Ling Tian sect? What did he mean? Could it be that these two are also here? The crowd's discussion did not escape the ears of the girl in the blue dress. However, Nie Wanshan and Fan Fong, who had their own thoughts, were not in the mood to listen to the small fry's discussion. Hiss. At this moment, as soon as Nie Wanshan finished speaking, a dense aura suddenly came out of the palace where Chen Hao was. How's this possible? The aura of a breakthrough. Chen Hao is breaking through at this moment? The crowd immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. The mysterious and dense chi would only appear when one was breaking through to the next realm. Without a doubt, Chen Hao had entered the barrier of the intermediate aura's core stage at this critical moment. This was something that no one had expected. After all, Chen Hao's aura was only at the intermediate stage of the golden core realm. He had not even reached the peak of the intermediate stage. How could he break through to the intermediate stage now? Fan Fang's brows furrowed when he heard the crowd's discussion and exclamations. Initially, he was still hesitating whether he should agree to Nie Wanshan's request. However, at this moment, he nodded abruptly. A hint of viciousness flashed across his face as he said, "This son of a bitch killed my sister. I'll let him have a taste of chi deviation." Voila! The crowd burst into a buzz of discussion. How ruthless! Shameless, how could he do this? Lower your voice. Don't invite trouble. In the world of cultivation, interrupting the cultivation of others was a taboo. When others were breaking through to the next stage, no one was allowed to disturb them. This was especially true after the Golden Core realm. If a cultivator was disturbed while breaking through to the next stage, it was very likely that they would suffer chi deviation. At best, they would fail to break through and suffer physical and mental damage. At worst, their cultivation would be crippled. This was undoubtedly a very sinister and despicable thing to do. Fan Fang instantly gathered a huge amount of energy and was about to slam his palm on the palace doors. Scram! At this moment, what no one could have imagined was that a cold and furious roar suddenly exploded out. A blue streak of light appeared in front of Fan Fang at lightning speed, and a jade-like hand like ice violently met Fan Fang's attack. There was a dull sound of energy colliding. The blue figure staggered back 3 steps, each step leaving a deep footprint on the hard stone floor. Fan Fang, on the other hand, took a step back. Only then did everyone see who had blocked Fan Fang's path. The girl in the blue dress. You want to help that son of a bitch? Fan Fang's eyes suddenly became murderous as he stared at the beautiful girl. Such shameless behavior. You are the son of a bitch. You are worse than a son of a bitch. If you have the guts, fight him fair and square. Yes, that's right, Miss Chen is right. Fan Fang, you are more or less a person. Interrupting someone's breakthrough is such a despicable action. You are at least a super genius of a 6th-rank sect. This is unbearable. Nie Wanshan was stunned for a moment. Then, he took advantage of the situation and put on a sanctimonious look. He stared at Fan Fang and said with a trace of disdain in his eyes. Fan Fang's face turned ashen as he gritted his teeth. He did not take the girl in the blue dress seriously just because of the collision of their palms. At most, he could just destroy her. But Nie Wanshan's change of stance made him very angry. You are not a good person either. So what if you are a disciple of the 100 Empire ranking? I am a disciple of the 100 Empire ranking. If you want to fight, I will keep you company. What caused Nie Wanshan's expression to change greatly was that not only did the young girl in a blue dress not give him face in the slightest, her peerlessly beautiful eyes that were hidden under the black veil instead contained a wisp of piercingly cold killing intent as she looked at him and spoke with disdain. Get out of here. Whoever dares to stop him from breaking through will die. What happened next shocked everyone even more. The girl in the blue dress strangely disappeared before everyone's eyes. Not only did she disappear, but her aura also disappeared. Even an expert like Fan Fang could not capture any aura. What was even more shocking was that streaks of sharp and cold sword light were flashing at the entrance of the palace, like venomous snakes on standby, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. Lung Yihan? No, it can't be Lung Yihan. Nie Wanshan's expression changed greatly. When he felt a pair of viper eyes vaguely lock onto him, he was shocked. This concealment technique was exactly the same as Lung Yihan's. But Lung Yihan was a man, and the one in front of him was a woman. The aura of the two were completely different, but the only similarity was their concealment technique. It must be related to Lung Yihan. Could it be Lung Yihan's lover? You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit? No wonder you looked at me so coldly. No wonder you know so much about the matters of the Sword Clan. So you are Lung Yihan's man. Very good, very good. You have crossed my bottom line. Today I, Nya Wanshan, will let you know the consequences of playing tricks on me, bitch. Boom. Nya Wanshan no longer had any scruples. He tore off his mask of hypocrisy. His expression was ferocious, and his aura erupted like a flood. At the same time, he said to Fan Fong, "Do what you have to do. Today, we will work together to kill this bitch and those bastards of the 100 Empire ranking. There are 3 of them, and that bitch Ling Yihan. Just like this bitch, they are good at concealment. They must be around." But although Fan Fong was disgusted by those bastards of the 100 Empire ranking, he could only let it go at this point. After all, Nya Wanshan had already explained that he was not talking about him. As soon as he finished speaking, he did not need Nya Wanshan's reminder. His aura was raised to the limit. He, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, released a terrifying aura that was not inferior to Nya Wanshan's. The girl in the blue dress, who had concealed her aura, frowned. Her expression was grave. She was a little annoyed. Why didn't she hold it in? She should have held it in. At least wait for Chen Hao to come out. Now that she was facing one of them, she was confident that she could handle it. But if there were 2 of them, rumble. Just as the battle was about to break out, everyone was confused. They did not understand the relationship between the girl in the blue dress, Fan Fong, Nya Wanshan, Chen Hao, and Leng Yihan, who had not appeared at all. Suddenly, a huge palace beside them opened with a rumble. Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan came out together. 2 extremely powerful auras instantly shrouded the entire palace complex. Duan Yufei's gaze contained a soul-stirring power. Whoever dares to interrupt Chen Hao's ascension will die. Whoosh! Duan Yufei held Xia Lanlan's hand and appeared at the entrance of Chen Hao's palace as if he was taking a stroll. He completely ignored the girl in the blue dress's hidden aura. Firstly, the situation earlier was under his control. The girl in the blue dress was with them. Secondly, although the girl in the blue dress's concealment technique was so powerful that he could not see through it, Duan Yufei was confident that even if the girl in the blue dress wanted to attack him, he had enough strength to block it. Duan Yufei's voice was not cold, but coupled with his terrifying aura, it directly shook people's hearts. No one doubted the authenticity of Duan Yufei's words. Fan Fong and Nya Wanshan were a little stunned. They did not understand why Duan Yufei would suddenly appear and help Chen Hao. How could Duan Yufei and the others not know? He was the super genius who ranked 9th in the inner court of the grade 9 sect, Ling Tian sect. Don't worry. As long as Chen Hao comes out, I won't interfere. You can fight however you want. It has nothing to do with me who lives or dies, Duan Yufei said calmly with a disdainful expression when he saw Fan Fong and Nya Wanshan's shocked eyes. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 251. Xia Lanlan only furrowed her brows, not saying anything. In truth, she didn't care about people like Chen Hao. He had saved them, but he had asked for a reward. If it had been someone else, Xia Lanlan would have treated it fairly, and perhaps saved them. But this person was Chen Hao, and she only felt disdain for her sister. She was Xia Yuyu's cousin, and had the best relationship with Xia Yuyu. No one knew Xia Yuyu's matters better than her. How could she not know Chen Hao? But Chen Hao had saved her, and even though he could guess her relationship with Xia Yuyu, he still asked for a reward. There was nothing wrong with him and a girl obtaining the Phoenix's inheritance, as that was fate. There was also nothing wrong with him not participating in the dragon transformation list, as he was threatened by Fan Fong. But he seemed to have forgotten Xia Yuyu's existence. This was something Xia Lanlan couldn't accept. Fortunately, Duan Yufei had explained to her why Chen Hao had done this. Seeing Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan appear, the blue-dressed girl no longer hid her aura, and appeared beside them. Xia Lanlan immediately shifted her gaze to the blue-dressed girl. In the palace, although she knew that someone had appeared to protect Chen Hao, and it was a girl, she had only sensed it and hadn't seen the blue-dressed girl's true appearance. At this moment, the more Xia Lanlan looked at her, the more she frowned. She was originally considered a rare beauty, but when she saw this young girl, she felt that she was overshadowed. She was just like her dazzling cousin, Xia Yuyu. Any woman who stood in front of her would uncontrollably feel ashamed of their inferiority. Could it be because of this girl that Xia Lanlan thought, and then shook her head. From the conversation just now, it seemed that this blue-dressed girl didn't know Chen Hao. Moreover, although the blue-dressed girl made her feel inferior, in her heart, no one could compare to Xia Yuyu. What am I thinking? How could he be worthy of Yuyu? In these 2 years, the reason why Yuyu could not forget about it was entirely because Yuyu did not have any experience. When Yuyu reached the incarnation realm, her grandfather would let her begin to gain experience and truly come into contact with the cultivation world. There are many disciples in the Eastern continent who are more outstanding than him. He's just a disciple of a third-grade sect. His cultivation, talent, status are not worthy of Yuyu. Perhaps the girl in the blue dress sensed Xia Lanlan's gaze and looked at her. As for Xia Lanlan, whose mind was racing, she arrogantly looked at the girl in the blue dress and turned her face away. The corners of the blue-dressed girl's mouth curled up slightly. She didn't understand where Xia Lanlan's hostility came from, and she didn't care about it. Rumble. At this moment, the dense aura emitted from the palace where Chen Hao was at suddenly began to soar. It was obvious that Chen Hao's breakthrough had reached a critical moment, and it caused the entire palace to rumble. Fan Fang's face turned extremely ugly. He stared at Duan Yufei and said, "Duan Yufei, this is a personal grudge between me and Chen Hao. Your Ling Tian sect is a 9th-grade sect that's high and mighty. Don't tell me that you don't even follow the basic rules of the cultivation world?" Fan Fang forcefully suppressed the rising anger in his heart. Even though Duan Yufei had said that he would not interfere in the battle between the two of them, but now, in front of so many cultivators, stopping him from interrupting Chen Hao's breakthrough was equivalent to not giving him face. It was no different from slapping him in the face. If it was not for the fact that the situation was compelling, he would not have tolerated it even if it was a genius disciple from an 8th-grade sect. However, he had no choice but to tolerate a super genius from a 9th-grade sect. There's no need to talk about the Ling Tian sect. I, Duan Yufei, don't rely on the power of a sect to walk in the cultivation world. If you're not convinced, you can challenge me. Even if it's a personal grudge, it has to be fair and square. I don't like the shameless act of interrupting someone's breakthrough. If you don't have the confidence to defeat Chen Hao, then get lost. Don't embarrass yourself here. Don't talk about personal grudges. Aren't you just afraid that you won't be able to defeat Chen Hao when he advances? Duan Yufei said disdainfully. I'm afraid of him? He's just a son of a bitch. I Fan Fang just want him to beg for death. Rumble. Bang. Bang. Before Fan Fang could finish his sentence, an even more terrifying dense aura suddenly came from the huge palace. At the same time, the palace's door opened violently as if it was blown open by a gust of wind. He broke through? At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with shock as they looked at the entrance of the palace. The overwhelming dense aura shocked everyone, especially since everyone knew that Chen Hao had only broken through from the middle golden core stage to the late golden core stage. How could it cause such a huge commotion? Even Duan Yufei, Fan Fang, and Ye Wanshan were shocked. Because even when he broke through to this stage, it was definitely not so terrifying. What did this mean? Chen Hao's breakthrough from the middle golden core stage to the late golden core stage was definitely stronger than theirs. The late golden core stage cultivators present were even more shocked. This breakthrough aura was on a completely different level compared to theirs. Only the girl in the blue dress was calm. There was no shock in her beautiful eyes, only a matter of fact. It was not that she could defeat Chen Hao, but that she knew Chen Hao better than anyone else. Phew! In the palace, Chen Hao felt the powerful energy in his body and his face was filled with excitement. Even he did not expect that he, who was only in the middle golden core stage, could break through to the late golden core stage so quickly. Originally, when he stepped into the palace, he only wanted to adjust himself to the peak state to prepare for the battle with Fan Fang. Because until now, Although Chen Hao had a certain understanding of his combat strength, he had not fought with a real super genius. Fan Fong, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage and was a super genius, he did not have a clear idea of his combat strength. Even he did not have absolute confidence and had to be cautious. However, with his freakish recovery ability, he, who did not consume much energy to begin with, only took less than an hour to completely recover. And Fan Fong would have at least an hour to return. Of course, he would not waste time waiting. For the first time, he began to refine the mysterious existence in his mind. No matter what, he couldn't imagine that the mysterious existence would be so powerful. Now, it had only completed the most basic refinement, but it had consumed all the energy in his dantian, which no longer belonged to Ito Tai. It was equivalent to the energy stored in Chen Hao's dantian, and it was even more powerful than Ito Tai's late Yuanying stage. This made Chen Hao's heart ache. It should be known that this was one of the biggest gains he had made in the Seven Stars Cave Heaven for more than a year. Originally, he thought that with the existence of the nascent soul, it would be enough for him to break through to the nascent soul stage without spending any primal crystal stones. But now, he had consumed all of it. The only thing to be happy about was that while he was refining the mysterious existence, he had also borrowed its energy to break through from the middle nascent soul stage to the late nascent soul stage. Moreover, at the moment of breakthrough, the violent energy emitted from his body uncontrollably blasted the door of the palace open. "Son of a bitch, get out here!" After a brief moment of shock, Fan Fong's angry roar resounded through heaven and earth, breaking the gasps of the crowd. Chen Hao, who had been immersed in cultivation, did not have the slightest awareness of the outside world. He did not know that because of him, more than 3,000 cultivators had gathered outside. At this time, Chen Hao, who was immersed in the excitement of the powerful energy, was awakened by Fan Fong. After that, his peerlessly handsome face flashed with a wisp of boundless coldness as he slowly stood up. Whoosh! In the palace, a fierce wind suddenly rose. A terrifying aura, accompanied by a soaring fighting spirit, spread out in all directions. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Chen Hao stepped out of the palace. His figure was as straight as a sword, and his expression was cold. When he saw Duan Yufei, Xia Lanlan, and a beautiful girl standing closest to the entrance of the palace, Chen Hao frowned slightly. When he saw the arrogant Fan Fong and the powerful Nya Wanshan standing together, and the surrounding thousands of cultivators, Chen Hao frowned even more. Obviously, he did not expect the situation to be so lively. At this moment, to everyone's surprise, the red flame beast, which had finally calmed down, suddenly let out another roar. This time, it was even more ferocious than when it was attacked by Fan Fong, Nya Wanshan, and the blue-dressed girl. Its fiery red eyes stared fixedly at Chen Hao as it waved its huge fists. Its expression seemed to be completely different from Chen Hao. "This girl in blue is good to you." Just now, Fan Fong wanted to interrupt your breakthrough, but she stopped him. The other one with Fan Fong is called Nya Wanshan. He wants to join forces with Fan Fong to kill you, the girl in blue, and Lung Yihan. At this time, the information from the treasure-hunting sword's spirit appeared in Chen Hao's mind. While Chen Hao was cultivating, the treasure-hunting sword spirit had been paying attention to the situation outside, so it was very clear what had just happened. Lung Yihan. Yes, it seems that the girl in blue and Lung Yihan are cultivation companions. I'm not sure about the rest, but I just heard it. Lung Yihan should also be in the Dark Wind Cave, but not here for the time being. The girl in blue is very strong. She dared to fight Fan Fong and Nya Wanshan alone. However, her strength should not be as strong as the two of them. Fortunately, Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan, who you saved, arrived in time. Duan Yufei stopped Fan Fong. Otherwise, the girl in blue would have fought with the two of them. The treasure-hunting sword spirit said. Chen Hao and the treasure-hunting sword spirit communicated telepathically, and it was completed in an instant, allowing Chen Hao to understand what had just happened. Many thanks to the three of you for stopping this mad dog for me. Chen Hao did not even look at Fan Fong. His gaze swept across the girl in blue, Duan Yufei, and Xia Lanlan, and he cupped his fists. Brother Chen, you're too polite. The rest is up to you. Duan Yufei smiled slightly and stared at Chen Hao. He was looking forward to it. He also wanted to see how strong Chen Hao, who had just entered the late golden core stage, was. It's just a mad dog. This. Chen Hao did not say anything else. He took a step forward and rushed directly to a huge training field in the palace complex. Chapter 252. Let's see how long you can keep up your stubbornness. Boom. Fan Fang's energy was already at its peak, and as he flew towards the fighting arena in the safe zone, he suddenly burst into a dazzling light. Along with the powerful true core and the domineering aura of a half-step nascent soul cultivator, he was like a blazing sun, dispersing the gloomy clouds. What was even more shocking was that as the light flickered, one could faintly see the phantom of a ferocious beast with a strange appearance above Chen Hao's head. The phantom wasn't large, but it gave people a terrifying feeling that it could trample on the earth and hold up the sky, as if it could break through the heavens and tear the void apart at any moment. Fan Fang's ferocious face was cold, and his entire body was suffused with a terrifying aura that made people not dare to look directly at him. What a terrifying aura! Is this the true power of a half-step nascent soul cultivator? Bush. Many of the cultivators who had gathered around the fighting arena were shocked by Fan Fang's terrifying aura. Chen Hao, that reckless fool, is dead for sure this time. I have never seen Senior Brother Fan release such a terrifying aura before. Senior Brother Fan is going to use his ultimate move. Do you see that image? That should be the mysterious legacy that Senior Fan Fang obtained, and I have never seen Senior Fan use it before. There's nothing much to see after this. I'm afraid that once Senior Fan makes his move, Chen Hao, that arrogant fool, will be smashed into minced meat. Several disciples of the Sword faction were full of confidence in Fan Fang at this moment, and they looked at Chen Hao with disdain as they discussed. Fan Fang had never shown his true power in the ranking battles of the inner disciples of the Sword faction, not because he could hide it, but because no one had the ability to force him to use his ultimate move. But now, before the battle had even begun, Fan Fang had already raised his aura to such a level. How terrifying would it be? The inheritance of the Demon King of Tianluo? Duan Yufei and some of the more knowledgeable disciples gasped when they saw the image above Fan Fang's head. Even they did not expect Fan Fang to have such a terrifying hidden power. What is that? Xia Lanlan frowned and asked Duan Yufei. The blue-dressed girl and some cultivators not far from the two of them also pricked up their ears. Tianluo Demon King, one of the most powerful ferocious beast kings in ancient times. He was ferocious and aggressive, and his combat power was above that of the primordial divine dragon. I never thought that Fan Fang would be able to obtain his inheritance. I'm afraid Chen Hao is in trouble. Duan Yufei said softly as he narrowed his eyes and stared at Fan Fang and Chen Hao, who were standing in the middle of the training field. Senior brother, you're not allowed to attack. We no longer owe him anything. Whether he lives or dies, it's up to him, Xia Lanlan said after being slightly surprised. Junior sister, I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I won't do anything since. Duan Yufei nodded and said. At this moment, he and Xia Lanlan had experienced a life and death crisis. They had pierced through the last layer of paper and officially confirmed their relationship. Moreover, because Xia Lanlan had stopped Duan Yufei from helping Chen Hao, she naturally told him about Xia Yuyu's matter. But he still helped, because he had also risen to his current position step by step. He more or less knew why Chen Hao asked for a reward. With the inheritance of Tianluo Demon King, Fan Fang's strength is not much weaker than mine. The blue-dressed girl frowned slightly and her expression became particularly serious. She couldn't help but move to the front. The terrifying aura emanating from Fan Fang's body made it clear that even she had no chance of winning. Hundreds of feet away, Chen Hao, who was standing proudly, showed a trace of seriousness in his eyes when the terrifying shadow bloomed above Fan Fang's head. That terrifying aura and pressure made Chen Hao realize that Fan Fang was much more powerful than he had imagined. He had just stepped into the late Golden Core stage, and whether in terms of true essence or aura, He was no match for Fan Fong, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage and had a powerful inheritance. Although he was not afraid, Chen Hao, who had originally wanted to fight Fan Fong head-on, changed his mind at the last minute. In 10 moves I, Fan Fong, will make you beg for death. I will kill anyone who stands in my way. After releasing the aura of Tian Luo Demon King, Fan Fong's temperament had undergone a shocking change. The powerful feeling made him look down on everything and the world with disdain. Even the feeling of Duan Yufei, who had been holding back a moment ago, had completely disappeared. So what if you are a 9th-rank sect? I will trample you under my feet. Fan Fong's gaze slowly swept over the blue-dressed girl, Duan Yufei, Xia Lanlan, and the others. Seeing the shocked expressions on their faces, he became even more arrogant. Son of a bitch, kneel down now. Kneel 3 times and cow 9 times to my sister's soul in heaven, and I will let you die a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. When I am done torturing you, I will chop off your dog head and destroy your soul so that you will never be reincarnated. Don't think about running away. Today, no one can save you. Fan Fong stared coldly at Chen Hao again and said coldly, "You really are a mad dog. Since that is the case, how about we fight to the death? In front of everyone, there will only be life and death, no victory or defeat, until one side dies. No one is allowed to run. No one is allowed to ask for help." Crash! To everyone's surprise, Chen Hao, who was obviously at a disadvantage, said something so cold that it made the surrounding cultivators widen their eyes. Originally, everyone thought that with the support of Duan Yufei and the blue-dressed girl, no matter how powerful Fan Fong was, he would not be able to win with his arrogant and provocative words. But Chen Hao's words had ruined all his chances of survival. Although Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan had agreed not to help Chen Hao, they still looked at each other in shock. Nia Wanshan, who was also a little shocked, stared at Chen Hao and thought disdainfully, "He is as arrogant as that son of a bitch Leng Yihan. Even I have no chance of winning against Fan Fong's aura. What does he have? When this guy is dead, it will be time for me to ravage that bitch Chen Shui." Nia Wanshan thought to himself as he looked at the blue-dressed girl. In his heart, he was sure that the blue-dressed girl was definitely related to Leng Yihan. She is indeed a bitch. Damn bitch. Not only does she have an ambiguous relationship with Leng Yihan, she is also so concerned about this Chen Hao. Could it be that the 3 of them have an even more despicable relationship? Nia Wanshan looked at the blue-dressed girl's expression. Good. Although you are not worthy of fighting with me, Fan Fong, I have to admit that you do not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Son of a bitch, let me see what makes you so confident. As soon as Fan Fong finished speaking, it was obvious that he could no longer suppress his anger towards Chen Hao. He took a step forward and merged with the phantom of the Tianluo Demon King above his head. Then, the Tianluo Demon King roared into the sky. An earth-shattering roar exploded in the void like thunder. Roar! What frightened everyone was that at this moment, the red flame beast guarding the entrance of the safe zone actually let out a roar. However, what was different from before was that this roar actually contained a trace of fear. When some people looked at the red flame beast, they were shocked to find that the red flame beast was actually running away from the safe zone as if it was scared out of its wits. Even the red flame beast could not withstand the aura of the Tianluo Demon King. How powerful! Duan Yufei and some cultivators who knew about the Tianluo Demon King were all shocked. Tianluo roaring fist, injure him! Fan Fong roared and punched out. As the light surged, a few hundred feet of distance was crossed in an instant. The terrifying fist shadows seemed to have condensed into an inescapable net. With a rumbling sound, it contained the power to destroy heaven and earth and brazenly enveloped Chen Hao. The Tianluo Roaring Fist was one of the Tianluo Demon King's inherited unique skills. The Tianluo Roaring Fist covered the sky and earth. Just these 2 words alone meant that this was an all-encompassing and sealing attack. Fan Fong used this move because when he was on the 100 Empire ranking, he knew that Chen Hao was adept at concealment when he was at a lower level. In fact, Fan Fong was absolutely confident that he could destroy Chen Hao in one move. However, that would be letting Chen Hao off too easily. He wanted to make Chen Hao completely terrified and thoroughly trample on him before killing him. Of course, he couldn't waste any of these 10 moves. Otherwise, if he allowed Chen Hao to fight freely, it would be ineffective. He only used 70% of his strength for this move. His goal was to severely injure Chen Hao. Even so, the power of this move still shocked countless cultivators. This boom, boom, boom. Wherever the fist shadows passed, the air seemed to be torn apart. The wind created by the fists tore deep trenches in the hard ground. Gravel flew everywhere as the energy wreaked havoc. Looking at the rapidly expanding fist shadows, Chen Hao's handsome face shone with coldness and solemnity. His body flashed as he used the 7 stars footwork. He moved as fast as lightning and began to move within a small area. At first, when people saw Chen Hao move, they thought that Chen Hao was avoiding Fan Fong's attack. However, after a moment of sparks, they found that Chen Hao was only moving within a radius of 10 feet around him. He did not avoid the fist shadows at all. Moreover, what surprised them even more was that Chen Hao seemed to be moving in 7 fixed positions, shining like bright stars. At the same time, Chen Hao's hands were changing into various hand seals at lightning speed. Waves of powerful true energy fluctuations whizzed out from his dantian. Every time his body moved in a circle in 7 directions, the fluctuations on his body would increase layer by layer like bamboo. 7 stars sword finger, 1 finger sky pivot. When Fan Fong's fist shadows were only 200 feet away from Chen Hao's cold voice suddenly rang out. At the same time, a loud buzzing sound came from his body. He pointed out a finger. This, boom, boom. To be continued. Chapter 253. However, the shadow of the fist that had destroyed the giant finger, when it came into contact with Chen Hao, who was still moving rapidly in 7 different directions, it only caused a few ripples before it dissipated into nothingness. Obviously, Fan Fong had the upper hand, but it was only a slight one, and posed no threat to Chen Hao. Humph, the 7-star sword finger, very good. You must have learned it from the 7-star cave heaven? Second move. Fan Fong was slightly shocked by Chen Hao's strength after his first move had failed to achieve the desired effect. Without giving Chen Hao any chance to breathe, he suddenly closed in on him and increased his strength to 80%. Cultivators could kill people from 100 or even 1,000 miles away, but strength was still strength and would always be affected by distance. Even the most powerful cultivator was no exception. For the same strength, the closer the distance, the more powerful it would be. The further the distance, the weaker it would be. Therefore, the true pinnacle of battle was often close combat, where one's body was used as a weapon to fight against his opponent. Only in this way could one's strength be maximized. Fan Fong had shortened the distance of a few hundred feet to 100 feet. Even if he threw out the same punch, the damage to Chen Hao would be at least twofold. In addition, he had increased his strength by another 10% and used the second move of the Sky Roaring Punch. He believed that this punch was not something Chen Hao could withstand. 7-star sword finger, second finger Sky Jade. Sensing the surge of Fan Fong's power, Chen Hao's expression did not change. His clear voice contained an unparalleled sharpness. His movement speed suddenly increased, and the dazzling starlight became even more intense. What shocked Fan Fong and the crowd was that Chen Hao seemed to have formed a doppelganger. One doppelganger split into 2, and the 2 doppelgangers pointed their fingers in the air at the same time. Their postures and angles were completely different, but they pointed at the same time. What did this mean? Those with lower cultivation levels might have thought that Chen Hao's movements were too fast, and it seemed like they were done at the same time. However, Duan Yufei, Xia Lanlan, the blue-dressed girl, and Ye Wanshan were all shocked. This was because it was definitely not Chen Hao's phantom. Of course, it was definitely not Chen Hao's avatar. After all, Chen Hao was only at the late stage of the Gold Core realm. It was impossible for him to have the magical power of the Incarnation realm. What a powerful 7-star finger sword. No, it should be a set of unique skills. Chen Hao's footwork had actually condensed into a mysterious formation. Through the formation, the two fingers that he had shot out exploded at the same time. Moreover, the coordination was flawless. His strength and combat strength were definitely not as simple as doubling. At this moment, Chen Hao's combat strength was definitely equivalent to 3 Chen Hao's. This might be the power of an Earth-class top unique skill. Duan Yufei's eyes lit up as he stared at Chen Hao and thought to himself. How could the star-seizing sect possess such a powerful technique? Xia Lanlan stared at Chen Hao in shock as she thought to herself. The 7-star finger sword must be the unique skill that he obtained from the 7-star cave heaven. The blue-dressed girl's beautiful face, which was hidden under the black veil, revealed a look of surprise as the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Chen Hao's display of such power made her feel relieved, but at the same time a little unhappy. This was because, rumble! A terrifying explosion interrupted everyone's astonishment. To everyone's surprise, this time, Chen Hao's giant fingers actually shattered Fan Fong's fist shadows, which were much more terrifying than the first punch. However, the remaining giant fingers did not pose a threat to Fan Fong. After the fist shadows dissipated, they were easily destroyed by Fan Fong's protective genuine vitality. However, such a small change meant that Chen Hao, who was at a disadvantage, had gained a slight advantage. Phew, as expected. After easily gaining the upper hand, Chen Hao thought to himself. A combination of unique skills that can double your combat power. Although this 7-star unique skill is a little low level, it is very suitable for the current you. An old, deep voice, without any emotion, said mechanically in Chen Hao's mind. It was the mysterious existence in Chen Hao's mind. After Chen Hao completed the basic refinement, he could communicate with it directly. However, this guy's voice was really unpleasant to the ears. Every time Chen Hao heard it, he felt as if he was facing a lifeless, emotionless robot. However, according to what the treasure-hunting sword spirit had secretly told him, this was already good enough. Perhaps only Chen Hao could enjoy the emotionless voice of the mysterious existence. The treasure-hunting sword spirit himself and the 5 mythical beasts had to endure the arrogance, and boundless pressure of the mysterious existence. Chen Hao communicated with the mysterious existence in his mind. In fact, under the 7-star formation formed by the 7-star steps, Chen Hao used the second finger of the 7-star sword finger. Merak, although it was called Merak, in reality, it was the same as the second level of the Golden Man that Chen Hao encountered in the 7 Stars Palace. It was a combination of the Dubhe and Merak formations. It made Chen Hao seem as if he had become 2 people. Moreover, the 2 of them cooperated flawlessly. How much could his combat power increase? At least, Chen Hao, who originally only had a 30% chance of winning but had coldly forced himself into a corner, now had a 40% chance of winning. His fighting spirit soared. Although Chen Hao knew very well that Fan Fong had not used his full strength, and he had already raised his strength to the limit, he was not afraid at all. Instead, he was looking forward to the extent that he could unleash the power of the 7-star sword finger. Show me your true strength. Otherwise, it's not enough. At this moment, Chen Hao, whose fighting spirit was high, stared coldly at Fan Fong and said arrogantly. However, because he was constantly using the 7 stars footwork and maintained the circulation of the 7 stars formation, it caused everyone to be utterly unable to see his appearance clearly. Even his voice seemed to be circulating within the profound formation. When it was transmitted out, it was indistinct and unfathomable, yet it was countless times louder, like the evening drum and morning bell, shocking to the extreme. Even Chen Hao himself did not expect the 7-star formation to be so mysterious that it could even amplify sound waves. Good. I didn't expect a bastard like you to have some strength. You can actually block 70% of my strength. Since that's the case, I'll show you the true strength of Fan Fong. Wrath of the Demon King. Fan Fong took a step forward. This time, he did not hold back. His body seemed to tear the void apart, turning into a stream of light and landing 1,000 feet away from Chen Hao. Fan Fong, who had gathered all his energy in his fist, punched out at Chen Hao, who was moving quickly in front of him.
What?
There was no shadow of the fist, only Fan Fang's fist. To everyone's horror, the huge phantom of the Demon King of Tianluo was condensed to the extreme at this moment. It had shrunk thousands of times and completely condensed on Fan Fang's fist. The sound of the fist breaking through the air became the roar of the Demon King of Tianluo. As the fist punched out, a majestic vital essence whistled between heaven and earth. The energy of heaven and earth in the air became violent. Even more shocking was that in an instant, the space behind Fan Fang seemed to have been emptied. With his fist, the air behind him and the hard rock ground behind him were lifted up. Pieces of rock the size of hills and compressed energy exploded, carrying a destructive aura. Fan Fang's fist was as fast as lightning, covering the sky and earth as it attacked Chen Hao. So powerful! So powerful! Is this Fan Fang's true strength? This punch? Let alone a punch, I can't even withstand a chi explosion. Even a piece of rock could kill me. Countless cultivators were shocked. Even some of the cultivators at the peak of the Mastery Golden Core stage were no exception. Fan Fang's previous two moves could not be compared to this one at all. His aura and power had increased by many folds. It was like a punch from a 3-year-old to a punch from a 20-year-old. The difference was like heaven and earth. I need to use 90% of my strength to block this punch. Duan Yufei's eyes narrowed. I can only dodge this punch. The girl in the blue dress frowned slightly. Can he block it? I can barely block it. Xia Lanlan thought to herself. This Fan Fang is so powerful. I'm afraid only the top 10 inner disciples in the Ling Tian sect can defeat him. Nie Wanshan's face was a little pale. When Fan Fang revealed the inheritance of the Demon King of Tianluo, although he was surprised, he did not think Fan Fang had the ability to defeat him. However, Fan Fang's punch made him realize that even if he could block it, he would be severely injured. Moreover, this was only Fan Fang's third move. It was definitely not his trump card. He had to admit that he was no match for Fan Fang at the moment. 7-star sword finger, third finger fecta. The moment Fan Fang threw out his punch, Chen Hao's hurried voice sounded. After a slight pause, he said, "Fourth finger fecta. Break it." In an instant, the two moves merged into one. Chen Hao could clearly feel the energy in his dantian being crazily sucked out after he had hurriedly launched two moves. He felt a little depressed in his heart. 7-star sword finger, especially when combined with 7-star footwork, required one to advance step by step and advance step by step. One move after another had to be continuous and complementary. Only in this way could it be smooth and natural. However, Chen Hao had irritated Fan Fang, causing Fan Fang to directly increase the power of his attack by several times. Just from that aura alone, Chen Hao knew that it was impossible to block it with just the third finger. Left with no other choice, he could only forcefully raise his Zhenyuan and break the norm, launching the third and fourth finger in succession. Bang, bang, bang. Immediately, the entire world seemed to explode. The raging energy formed a terrifying hurricane that swept out in all directions. The cultivators surrounding the martial arts practice field quickly retreated in fear. Even so, most of them were forced to use their true essence to resist the flying stone fragments and the hurricane. What was even more shocking was that Fan Fang's Wrath of Heaven was not a short, instantaneous attack. Instead, it was continuous, wave after wave, forcing Chen Hao, who had split into 4 doppelgangers, to continuously attack with his finger. They were in a deadlock. Explode. Piss.
What?
After a few breaths of time, Fan Fang's Wrath of Heaven was finally unleashed. His whole body was like an arrow, streaking across the sky. In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of Chen Hao. The Demon King of Heaven's net, who was condensed in his fist, roared again. Heaven and earth shook, and a terrible, indescribable energy fluctuation suddenly erupted. To be continued. Chapter 254. Chen Hao had been prepared for this moment. He took a deep breath and pushed his inner yuan to the limit. Pure and majestic inner yuan gushed out of Chen Hao's dantian. 5 fingers of jade. The moment Fan Fong stepped out, Chen Hao's cold voice and Tian Luo Demon King's angry roar exploded at the same time. Chen Hao's 4 doppelgangers suddenly became 5. 6 fingers of sun opening. 7 fingers of light shaking. Immediately after, Chen Hao's voice rang out continuously, and the doppelgangers became 6, then 7. The moment the 7 doppelgangers were formed, the world darkened. Chen Hao stood in the position of the 7 stars, his clothes flapping in the wind. A bright star seemed to have been born between his eyebrows. The 7 stars were shining. The world lost its color. A mysterious and profound aura instantly filled the air. Everyone felt as if they were under the night sky, bathed in the cold starlight of the 7 stars. Everyone's sound, light, and perception were swallowed up. What was more shocking was that even they felt as if time had stopped and they were enveloped by a terrifying aura. "Break for me." These 3 cold words finally came out of Chen Hao's mouth when everyone felt suffocated. As the word "break" came out of his mouth, the space seemed to be torn apart. Chen Hao's 7 doppelgangers suddenly merged into one and pointed a finger. All the energy waves disappeared, all the sound disappeared. In the world, the only thing that could be seen was Chen Hao's sword finger, as bright as the stars. It was filled with endless mystery as it met Fan Fong's terrifying fist. The 2 weapons met in close combat. The fist and finger collided. There were no fancy moves or illusions formed by energy. But everyone present, including Duan Yufei, felt an extreme sense of danger. Fan Fong's sinister, ferocious face instantly froze. He could actually sense the threat of death from Chen Hao's finger. In the silence of heaven and earth, the fist and finger collided. Then, a soft, piercing sound suddenly rang out. Chen Hao and Fan Fong seemed to have fallen into a state of complete stillness, not moving at all. The sword fingers formed by Chen Hao's forefinger and middle finger disappeared, as if they had all merged into Fan Fong's fist. Poof! A mouthful of blood spurted out from Chen Hao's mouth. The entire martial arts practice field erupted with countless screams. This was especially true for the blue-dressed young lady. At this moment, the corners of her dress fluttered and her clothes fluttered. Her beautiful face that was hidden under the black veil was filled with boundless coldness and an aura that could destroy all things. However, after spitting out a mouthful of blood, Chen Hao's eyes were still as bright as stars and as cold as a sword. His body remained motionless. Then, under countless shocked gazes, fine cracks slowly spread out from Fan Fong's fist. "Die!" Crack! With his mouth full of blood, Chen Hao spat out 2 words in a low voice. To everyone's horror, Fan Fong's body made cracking sounds and blood spurted out from Fan Fong's body. Impossible, impossible! Fan Fong's terrified scream tore through the sky. However, no one could stop his body from collapsing. The 7 mysterious sword fingers set off monstrous waves in his body, wreaking havoc everywhere. Boom! Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Chen Hao's body was still as straight as a sword. He grabbed the air and Fan Fong's storage ring floated into Chen Hao's hand. At the same time, Chen Hao's body rumbled and a raging fire rose up around him. Absorb! With his body destroyed, Fan Fong let out a scream of horror, unwillingness, and humiliation. As a half-step nascent soul cultivator, his soul power was unusually strong. Although he was still a yin body, he could show his form. Everyone stared blankly at Fan Fong's illusion, which was his soul, which was surrounded by Chen Hao's vermilion bird heavenly fire. Then crackling sounds of burning could be heard. The illusion disappeared, and his divine soul was destroyed. How is this possible? Fan Fong hadn't used his trump card yet. Cries of surprise exploded in the entire dojo. Even Duan Yufei wore a look of disbelief. No one had expected that Fan Fong would be defeated by Chen Hao's terrifying skill in the 3rd move. Everyone thought that although Fan Fong's move was powerful, it should not have been his final trump card. How could it be destroyed so easily by Chen Hao? Was Chen Hao's attack too mysterious, or was Fan Fong's strength really this weak? While the crowd was still in shock, Chen Hao turned into a ray of light and flew quickly towards a huge palace. However, his body was shaking slightly. It was obvious that he was at the end of his rope. At this moment, it was obvious that he wanted to enter the palace to treat his injuries. Let's go, let's go. Several disciples of the Flying Sword sect were filled with fear. Even though they could see that Chen Hao probably had no battle power left, they didn't dare to step forward. Chen Hao was a severely injured tiger, and a casual wave of his claws could tear them apart. Moreover, Duan Yufei, the girl in blue, and other experts were present. At this moment, even if they had 10 times the guts, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly. They all retracted their auras and quickly retreated. Through the crowd that was still in shock, they rushed toward the smaller palace. As long as they could hide in the palace, they would be able to escape by noon the next day. Whoosh! The girl in blue turned into a ray of light and chased after Chen Hao. Duan Yufei hesitated for a moment. Then he grabbed Xia Lanlan, who was still in shock, and chased after her. You're badly injured. Let me heal you. The girl in the blue dress appeared beside Chen Hao in the blink of an eye and said. What surprised Chen Hao even more was that she had grabbed his wrist. At this moment, in fear, Chen Hao immediately performed the carving technique that allowed him to merge with everything in the world. Although this girl in blue had helped him before, they did not know each other. If she had any evil intentions, Chen Hao would not be able to resist. But what shocked Chen Hao was that she also merged with everything in the world. However, she did not try to grab Chen Hao's wrist. Instead, she transmitted a sentence that shocked Chen Hao. I'm your sister. Am I sister? Chen Hao's mind raced. The fact that she could merge with everything in the world made Chen Hao realize that she was not an enemy. She was most likely a disciple of the nameless old man like Leng Yihan. But he did not expect the girl in blue to say that. Sister, my name is Chen Shui. The girl in blue said again. At the same time, she grabbed Chen Hao's wrist. Immediately, a vigorous and pure true yuan rushed into Chen Hao's dantian, not allowing Chen Hao to refuse. Are the daughter of the nameless old man and my father? Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan were both shocked. Especially Duan Yufei. Even with his cultivation, he instantly lost track of Chen Hao and the girl in blue's aura. He could only vaguely sense a faint fluctuation in the air, but he could no longer sense it. The two seemed to have disappeared in front of him. Although it was only for a moment, the two appeared again. That feeling was very real. Senior brother, let's go. I don't want to see him again. Xia Lanlan saw the girl in blue holding Chen Hao's wrist. She had a glimmer of hope because of Chen Hao's strength, but her expression suddenly changed. Without waiting for Duan Yufei to refuse, she pulled Duan Yufei and flew into the air. In an instant, they rushed out of the safe zone and disappeared from everyone's sight. The girl in blue naturally heard Xia Lanlan's words. She frowned slightly, a little confused. No matter how she listened to it, Xia Lanlan's words sounded like she was sulking with Chen Hao. But she and Duan Yufei were intimate, and they had already confirmed their relationship. Although she felt strange, she did not ask. She just pulled Chen Hao and quickly landed in front of a palace. Chen Shui, you bitch, are you trying to hide? Get back here. I, Nie Wanshan, will settle the score with you. Boom. Nie Wanshan, who did not dare to fly into a rage, saw Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan leave. What was there to be afraid of? Even if Chen Shui had an affair with Chen Hao, it was nothing. Chen Hao was already a lamp without oil. He had no combat power at all. What was there to be afraid of when a tiger without teeth and claws met a real wolf like him? His only opponent was Chen Shui. Taking advantage of Leng Yihan's absence, Chen Hao, who was on good terms with Leng Yihan, and then suppressed Chen Shui. This was undoubtedly the best result. Even if he could not suppress her, he could just kill her. Get lost. I'll deal with you later. Chen Shui executed a peerlessly fierce sword light with a wave of her hand, and it arrived before Chen Shui and forcefully forced Nie Wanshan, who was charging over violently, to retreat. Then, as fast as lightning, she rushed to the door of the palace, opened it directly, and flashed in with Chen Hao. Rumble. The door of the palace was closed. No matter how powerful Nyawanshan was, he could not do anything. His face became gloomy, and he was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. The power of Qin Shui's instantaneous attack was beyond his expectations and had already made him frown. Now that the two of them were in the palace, once Qin Hao recovered, without hesitating for long, Nyawanshan left quickly. He dared to fight Qin Shui, but what about Qin Hao after he recovered his combat power? He would not dare to do so even if he had 10 guts. What are you looking at? In the palace, 2 hours later, to Qin Shui's shock, Qin Hao, who had a freakish recovery ability, actually slowly opened his eyes. His body emitted a wave of energy that made Qin Shui's heart palpitate. It seemed that he had become even more terrifying than before the battle with Fan Fong. However, the moment Qin Hao's bright and deep eyes opened, he looked straight at Qin Shui, who was covered by the black veil. Qin Shui could not help but say. There was a trace of dissatisfaction in her voice. How could he look directly at a girl with such eyes? Especially when the two of them were sitting very close to each other and were sitting cross-legged. Are you really my sister? Can you take off your veil and let me see? Qin Hao said. Dream on. Do you think I'm lying to you? That's not it. It's just that. Just what? Your life aura is erratic and there's no trace to follow. I can't sense the aura of my father's bloodline. However, although I can't see clearly, you should be very similar to my sister Xiao Yan. Take a look. As Qin Hao spoke, the saber in his hand suddenly flashed, and white crystal fragments flew. In a moment, a beautiful girl appeared in front of Qin Shui. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.